Going live. We live. System design primer. Let's see what everyone else is saying. Check the Discord real quick. Oh wait. I'm gonna get that one freshman on the call, so I need to message him quick. Oh, he got labs until 8:30. Switch device. What do we got in the chat? Gonna wait a bit. Let's do some. Luis, what's up? Luis, what do you want to learn today? You want to do system design first, or you want to do resume reviews? What's everyone want to do today? Started a little bit early. Ruben, what's good? Hold up, just checking quick. What's up? Y'all want to do resume reviews? Luis, did I review your resume yet? Wait, there's this guy. I'm about to review that freshman who got that 4.0 or that valedictorian freshman. He's gonna come on the stream. I'm gonna hit him on Discord voice. Paul, what's good? Let's do some system design today. What's everyone know about system design? What year is everyone in school? And I'll tailor it to. You actually want that OA? What's the OA? Send that OA. Yeah, run it. I'll send you my email. Yo, Paul, our video's doing numbers. Let's look at this one. Yo, Chris, what's up? Nice. Yo, Chris, that's crazy. Where do you work? I mean, I know you work at Nike, but where? Seattle? And thanks for the supporting. Portland? Yeah, sorry, I messed it up. What's the OA? Who's it from? What company? Fetch? The heck is Fetch? Go Fetch. Are they a startup? I don't know what this is. Wisconsin company? Interesting. Yeah, send it. Paul, how good are you with system design? You have to do system design interviews or what? It's gonna go over down. Let me check your... Oh, damn. They're making you do some data modeling. Hey, James, what do you think of doing a mock interview? You want to run a mock interview? You want to do me to run a mock interview on you? I'm down. Join the Discord. Join the Discord. But we gotta do it on the live stream. The link is attached to. It's pinned. The link is pinned. I'll send you a lead code. Do you have premium? You got premium or what? Okay. If you got premium, yeah, we can run a mock interview. I'm down. Okay. Hop in the lounge on the Discord. Hop on the lounge. Let me just fix my mic. What's up?
Hello?
What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Going good. How about you?
I'm good. You ready to do a mock right on the stream? How much people you got?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright.
How
good are you?
I came across your channel
Nice.
yesterday.
Sick.
Been watching some of your videos. I found it pretty interesting.
Nice. Which video did you first come across?
I came across the video where you're doing a meta.
Oh, I see. Nice.
Meta mock interview? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that one's popping off.
That one is, yeah.
How are your elite code skills? What do you think? What would you give yourself? Or how many elite code questions have you done?
My elite code skills? I would probably... I'm not the greatest. I can probably do mediums comfortably. I've done a couple of hards.
Nice.
Maybe like 4.
I see. Okay. I think we should be good then. Let's just get into it. Let me send you a link. One sec. Did my stream cut out? Are you good? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The stream is good.
I'm a Berkeley student. So you can probably put that.
You go to Berkeley too? I had a couple Berkeley kids on there.
I don't know. Huh?
You're like the second Berkeley. Did you see my other one when I had the other Berkeley guy come on?
Oh, you were reviewing his resume?
Yeah,
yeah, I saw that video.
Bro, I work with a lot of Berkeley kids. Okay, let's run this though. You're probably good then. Let's see.
We'll see. I don't think so.
Let me figure out. There's a way to share on LeetCode Premium. There's a way to share there's a way to share interviews. Let's see, interview online. Wait, no.
Yeah, it should be. There's an interview tab right there. Yeah.
What's this? Assessment? No, it's not. So what is this? Online interview. And I could interview you?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's cool. So what year are you in?
I already graduated.
Oh, nice. So you're looking for full-time?
Mm-hmm.
Are you already working though?
No. I already started the job hunt and...
How is it?
It's a lot better than before, actually. I've been getting a lot of OAs.
Nice.
I've been passing a lot of the OAs, and I think main thing for me is just the behavior.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel I prep too much for the tech that I forget to prep for given a situation, what would you do type question.
I feel like those don't weigh that heavy though. I don't know. From your experience, you think they weigh heavy?
I mean, if you're stuttering how I usually do, then it's gonna weigh a lot. I feel like I stutter too much and I get too nervous.
I see. Did you join the interview or what's happening here? How do you do this?
You gotta send me a link.
Wait, give it a sec. It's lagging. Tweaking out. Okay, wait. How do you do this? Created. Okay, wait. Okay. Let me send you a link.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you on. Let me add you quick. Give me a sec. Okay, I sent it to you. Okay, I'm gonna find you a good question. Let's see. You done all the classic questions?
Maybe. I think so. Um, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see. Just give me one. And I'll tell you if I know it or not.
Sounds good. We'll keep it to about like 25 minutes a question. We'll see if we go like one or two. If you do it fast enough, we'll go on to another one.
Sounds good.
Did you grow up out here in the Bay?
No, I grew up in Florida.
Oh, nice. You just came out here for school at Berkeley?
I did like my senior year of high school to get in-state tuition, and then I transferred to
Nice.
a community college, and then I did.
I see. All right, let's get it. This should be fun. Let me think.
Let's do it. It's exciting.
Valid word. You're in?
Did you send me a link it's in the general chat?
No, I sent you a direct message.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I'm joining right now.
Yes, sir. A's asking.
Okay, see me?
Wait, let me just check how if my stream is live. You're in? Oh, nice. What language do you like to do your interviews in?
Let's do it in Python.
You want to do it in Python? Sounds good. One sec, I'm just verifying my stream. Yo, stream, put a thumbs up if everything looks good. I'll verify this too. Wait, let me rewind. Alright, perfect. Let's get it. Alright. Let me look for a good question. So let's go with what are your strong languages? Or sorry, questions like arrays and stuff like that, or what?
My strong suit would probably be like graphs, trees.
Graph trees. Okay, sounds good. Let's do.
Also, like double pointers and windows. Type
Okay,
style.
sounds good. All right. Okay, let me give you this question. Oh no, this is a premium. I don't want to do no premiums right now. We're gonna do everything on the whiteboard on this editor to simulate a real interview. I'll just copy in the prompt, and then you have to work through it and get the test cases going. And yeah, get it. Basically, write good code, and we want to focus on working code that covers all edge cases. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, for warm up, we're gonna start off with this question, and I'm gonna drop it in real quick. So I'll quickly tell you what it is. So we're given a string S. Return true if S can be a palindrome after deleting at most one character from it. So this is the first example. This is the second example. This is the third example. Cool.
Okay. Let's see how I would approach this problem. So I know you can quickly check a palindrome in O of n just by checking the first and the last, and if they're equal, then you just move on to the inner string and keep checking that until you reach the middle. But if you need to switch at most one character, then let's see. Let's take this for example. Example 2. And let's simulate starting from the front and the end. So the two ends match together, so we'll move left forward and right back.
Yep.
And B and C do not match, so we can remove C. But how do we know that? We can either move B or C, and then it'll be a palindrome. Okay.
Makes sense so far. Lev, what's up? And I'll be responding to the chat at the same time. It's gonna be if I'm saying anything, this is not representative of a real interview. In a real interview, I probably wouldn't be saying anything, but see what the chat is saying. Lev, what's good? How's everyone thinking about his approach so far?
Mm.
So okay, you know how to check a valid palindrome. I like that. And then you're once you see an issue, you're trying to see which one to delete.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'll let you think for a bit.
Okay. Let's see if like the string has more inner characters. Like this. Um okay, so say we have this string,
Yep.
then we can remove C and it'll be a palindrome, but if we remove C, then the next one has to match with B. And furthermore, all of the others have to match.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we can just, after we see a letter don't match, we can remove it and then check if all the other letters match. And if they don't, then we'll just say that we'll just return false. Otherwise, we'll return true. Does that approach make sense so far?
Yeah, it makes sense. But could you be more specific on what you mean by deleting the character?
Yeah, so say we have this string over here. When we start at the front and back,
Yep.
we'll see that both A's match, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll get to a case where B and C don't match.
Yep.
Um, we can either remove B or C. We'll try removing both. So we'll remove B first and check that A doesn't match with C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure.
So we'll so after we check this, now we'll check the other side and see if we can do the same thing. So we'll remove C and then check that. Okay, now the B's match, the A's match on both sides, and the inner C's match.
Nice.
Now we'll just do like a regular check palindrome.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like,
I like that
by
approach.
first trying the left and then the right.
Yeah, your approach makes sense to me.
Okay,
Go ahead and code it.
let's start with coding. So we're gonna start with left is at 0, right is at. So we'll say well, actually, let's just define a function first.
Sure.
Check palindrome version 2, I guess. And then it takes a string. Okay. So we'll check the left and the right.
While the left is equal to right.
Yeah. Let's put this condition first. So we'll continue checking the left and the right until we get to a case where the characters don't match.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll return. Sorry, we're not gonna return. We're gonna exit this while loop. And then now we're gonna try deleting the left character. And then we're gonna try deleting the right character.
Sure.
And that's how we're going to do it. So let's try deleting the left character first. So we'll move just to delete it. We'll just move the left forward. Let's keep a variable to remember where left was. We'll just call it OG left,
Sounds good.
and then we're gonna move left by 1, and then we're gonna check.
All right. If it was a real interview, what would you name it? Just to make sure our habits are good.
Okay.
Because for the stream, yeah, that's a nice variable name, but I don't want to set you up for accidentally pulling that out on an interview.
Okay, maybe like prev L.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So while the left is less than the right, return true, and then we'll say if the reason why we finished, the left and right cross each other, then we know it's a palindrome. So if L is greater than or equal to R, return true. Otherwise, we know that
I'm gonna run. E.
we failed that.
It's over here. Just keep going. E is asking what the question is. It's valid palindrome, but delete at most one character. So verify that if you delete one character, it becomes a valid palindrome. Yo, send it in the chat. Keep writing, keep writing. You're doing good.
Okay. So this does exactly what I think I described. Okay, wait. This is supposed to be -1.
Alright, it's getting. I think that we're duplicating too much code here. That's the one feedback I would give right away. Is there a way that we can clean it up first, or do it more in a cleaner manner?
I can probably write a function check palindrome where I just have this loop and give it a start and an end index.
I mean, let's just go with this, and if we run into bugs, then we'll fix it. But let's just see if you're able to implement it without any bugs.
Okay. Could I give it some test cases?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. In the interview, they're going to make you run some test cases on it. So, but just walk me through line by line what's happening, and let's see if we can see if there's any issues with it.
Okay. So I have a pointer left and right that I start at both ends, and I try to move the left forward and the right back while the characters are equal.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I should check if left and right crossed each other here. So if left is greater than right, then we know that we've checked the entire string and
Sure.
we'll return true. Yeah, there's a lot of duplicated code.
Yeah.
So if we exit from this loop, it's either because left crossed the right, or we found a character that is not equal to the other character. And if this is the case, we'll try deleting the character from the left side, and if that doesn't work, we'll try deleting the character from the right side.
Yeah.
And if after trying both sides, then there's no way that the string can be a palindrome.
Yep. That makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
Walk me through this part right here. Will this work as expected? This try left part that you're mentioning.
Let's see. So we're gonna store where the left was, just so we can put back the left pointer after deleting the left character, and then we're gonna increment it to simulate removing it from the string, and then we'll do the same exact check as above. And same thing, if we exited from this loop, it's either this condition or this condition.
Okay.
And if the left and the right cross each other, then we've checked the entire string and it's a palindrome.
All right.
Otherwise, we'll reset L back to what it was initially, and then try deleting from the right side.
Yep.
So
that makes sense. Okay.
To me, this looks like it should work.
All right. Let's run it on some test cases and see and verify that it works. We have 3 examples up there.
Okay. So let me just run it on the very first example.
So Squagmire saying, is there a solution? Oh, sorry, it's repeating. Someone jumped in. Squagmire saying, is there a solution that leverages the string odd or even numbers? Okay, my bad. They're saying I'm blocking the code. Hold up. Let me switch this over to this side then. You're right. Hold on, then I'm blocking the chat. Let me sec. Let me fix this up. Oh, it's all good. You can block the chat.
Okay, so it looked like it worked on the test cases.
Let's see. You ran it? Let me see. Let me zoom in. Okay, let's run this code. So it worked on ABA. It worked on ABC. Okay, let me verify.
I'm gonna clean it up while you're doing that.
I mean, I can move this. Let me move the chat because people are saying, "Are you moving the chat?" I can move myself to the left. Give me a sec. That's easy. Yeah. There you go. Okay. I'm not convinced that's gonna work at all test cases. Let me read over it again though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going crazy. Try deleting the left character. So we take L, we store L, but L here has already moved, hasn't it? Okay, L. Okay, we get to the first place that's a mismatch, right? So we store the old L and we move one up. And then, okay, we keep at our right. That makes sense. We move our right until they're the same. Oh, sorry. We start moving our right here, right? But previous R equals... So when we try to delete the first character, shouldn't we go back to the first character that was mismatched? So for example... or go ahead.
Yeah, could you explain what you mean?
So you said that pretend we mismatch on ABC right here.
Yeah, see?
Right. We did a mismatch here. And then you want to try deleting R first by moving this up, right?
Yeah.
And then you also want to try deleting C by moving this up, right? By 1. So is R actually in the right place right there when you're doing this one?
I see what you're saying, and you're very right. I don't store the previous R. So I need to actually store R as well. And then reset both of them.
Yeah, then I think it would work. The edge case is a little small, so it worked for that, but I mean, let's throw this code into the lead code and see if it actually runs. One sec. Where's the chat? What's everyone saying in the chat? Studio. Okay, maybe, yeah. Is there a solution to leverage this string and odd? Can this be done recursively? Let's see. We'll clean it up after. Don't worry, Coach Mo. Let's see. So we're gonna go this. Paul, why do you say it's not optimal? It works. It works. It could be a bit cleaned up. And are you watching my stream right now? Are you on my stream or are you looking at the...
Me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching. I just got on your stream. Okay. Did it work fully?
What I think it's good. It's good. What I would ask is now what could you do, since we still have a couple minutes left, what would you do to clean it up?
I began by just defining this function check palindrome because I do this 3 times.
Yeah.
One here, and then I can just call this function.
Okay,
and
let's run it.
I will do it that way, yeah. And actually, with this function, I wouldn't need to store a previous L, previous R. It would just change internally.
Sure.
I can try cleaning it up right now.
Yeah. Let's spend about 2 minutes, but try to do it fast so we can move on to the next question.
Okay.
No, good job though. You walked me through the thought process, able to come up with an optimal solution. To me, that's optimal. Paul, I think the optimal is pretty much what he did, because you don't know which one you should delete. You have to pick. You have to try deleting either one or the other. But overall, I think it looks good. At the end of the day, it's still ov(n) time complexity and ov(n) or ov1 space, no extra space, just pointers.
Okay. I think this is what I'll do to clean it up.
Yeah, it looks good. Go like, and even like just throw it down here like this.
Yeah, it's even better.
Let's see if we run this. Yeah, that looks good. Let's go to the next question. Let's step it up a notch. Yeah, good job. Let's see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me think. All right. Let's see. Hopefully this one's not a premium question. Shit, it's premium. All right. You've done the lowest common ancestor questions or no?
No, I have not done that.
Oh, you never done the lowest common ancestor question? All right.
I worked on it, but I just gave up.
Okay. Let's not do it then if you've already seen it. So, let me think. Let me find a good one. Okay, I got one for you. Actually, this one requires a bit of... The thing with working on the trees one is we can't just do it on the editor like this. Actually, we can, because we can assume that we're just given nodes. I've done ones that require trees as well. Somebody said longest palindromic substring. I don't know. We just did a palindrome question. I kind of want to move into a... Okay, I'm going to give you this one.
Okay.
Have you done 543 on LeetCode? Try it out. Try looking up if you did that yet.
Let me see. No.
You haven't done that one?
I haven't done that one, no.
Alright. Okay. Let me drop this one in the chat or in here. Job on the first question.
Thank you.
I'll give you 3 out of 4. A 4 would be if you did it optimally, which is good. Because usually when we do ratings, we give candidates 1, 2, 3, or 4. Usually we'll give a 2 if we had to give so much hints in order for you to solve it. If you can't even solve it and you can't even code, I would give you a 1. But since you're able to solve it, I'll give you a 3. But the code was a little messy. And I think you could have moved it a little bit faster. But that's sort of... Because if you already know the answer, I might as well code it up fast kind of thing. But that's just preference, honestly. I think you did good.
Thank you.
For a new grad position, that's good.
What do you think about my explanation?
Yeah, I think your explanation is good because you looked to solve the problem and you went all the way up until you found what was breaking, which was... Oh, sorry, something's ringing in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's your explanation is good because you knew exactly what to do, which was try both cases. So I don't know, no problems with there. I think you did good. Okay, let's move on to this next question.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, but like honestly, if you're for a senior or something like that or staff, they should. I've been at companies where they're like, if the person doesn't solve this the first part within 20 minutes, it's a fail.
Oof.
But I think for new grad position, they don't do that. I don't really like doing that way either. For me, it's more if they need to solve all if as long as if I'm gonna ask two questions, they solve it. But some people track for speed. Honestly, that's what I've seen, especially in the Bay. Okay, take a look at this one.
Okay. So given the root of a binary tree, return the length of the diameter of a tree. The diameter of a binary tree is the length of the longest path between any two nodes in a tree. This path may or may not pass through the root.
I hope you're here with a diagram. What are you thinking? Madi, which tree question are you talking about? Distance K from the target? It's a good question. Did you do that question yet?
Distance K from target?
Oh, this is good. This is a good one. Anyways. Just keep going with this one. Somebody in the chat wanted you to do a different question, but I think this is good. All right.
Okay. So for this input, I'm going to say the longest path is from 4 to 3 or from 5 to 3. It can either be 4 to 3 or 5 to 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. And basically the path is the number of edges between them. So you see there's 3 edges. So it should be 3.
Okay. Let me think about this.
Yeah, exactly.
The first idea is just there's an algorithm called Floyd-Warshall. I think it gives you the distance to all pairs.
Distance to all pairs.
All node pairs in a graph. But I think that might be overkill.
Sounds like it. Sounds overkill.
Yeah, the runtime of that algorithm is O of n cubed, I think.
Okay, we're looking for a faster algorithm than that.
How would I do this?
So what are you thinking so far? Just want to get a pulse on what are some of the solutions that are going through your head.
Probably DFS. I'm thinking to do some sort of DFS. And maybe even some dynamic programming.
Why are you thinking of those approaches?
Let's see. Well, let me try to get the solution for this by doing a walkthrough. So
Sure.
We'll start at root. Sorry, what would be the input? It would just be the root node, right?
It would be the root node, and then you just return a number. So your function definition should be something like given a root, then return a string.
Got it. And let's see how we would do it for this. So root, it would go down to 2, and it would go down to 4. Then we'd go down to 5, and then we'll go back to the right side. Okay.
So you're doing a post order, in order, because with a lot of these tree questions, it kind of matters if you're gonna do a post order, traversal, or in order or pre order.
Post order is like when you visit all of its children, then visit itself, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Um, I'm well. DFS is post order then, right?
It depends. You can write a DFS and it's gonna be a pre-order, in order, or post order.
Right. Okay. Okay. Um. Yeah. This question might have stopped me.
I can give you a slight hint. That's no problem. So, are you
Okay.
familiar with pre-orders, in orders, and so pre-order is pretty much when you visit the node.
Yeah.
And if you read Cracking the Coding interview, this is probably the first thing that they'll drop right away inside of the book is when you're doing a DFS, you could do it in three ways. A pre-order, visit the node, visit left, visit right. And Stoner's giving a hint. Hint, think about the case if you add 6 and 7 after 4 and 5 respectively. Have, think about if you add I don't get the case. So pre-order, visit the node, visit left, and visit right. In order, you've in the in order case, you visit the left, you visit the node, and you visit the right. And in the post order case, and maybe if you're stumped, I can walk you through how I would do it, and then I could ask you a different question. But just to explain the techniques. So post order would be you visit left, you visit right, then you visit the node at the end.
I see. I think I may have a light bulb may have clicked.
Nice.
So the diameter is for sure going to be on separate on like the left and a right child. Actually, it might be okay. What if like we calculate the length of the left tree, the height of the left tree,
Mm-hmm.
and the height of the right tree, and then add those together
Okay.
because that would be so like the height of the left subtree rooted at a
Mm-hmm.
sorry rooted at 1
Mm-hmm.
it's 2
Yeah.
it's 2 and the height of the right subtree rooted at 1 is 1.
Sure.
Just the maximum height of the left and the right summed up will give you like the longest path because yeah, it will give you the longest path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So walk me through. So when you're here, what would you do? So you're gonna run that on every single node. How would
Yeah.
you calculate that?
So I'll keep like an answer, um, like this is what I'll return above,
Mm-hmm.
and at each node, I'm gonna just update answer. Answer height of left plus height of right, and then I'll do it that way. And then at the end, I'm gonna return my answer. So I'm gonna write a function that gives me the height
Okay.
of le of a subtree.
So if I'm interpreting this properly, we're gonna start at the root node. We're gonna calculate the height of our left and the height of our right, perform by
Yeah.
some sort of depth first search, and then we move on
Yes.
to the next, and then we calculate the answer, and then we move on to this one,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that makes sense, and I think it'll work. But what would be your time complexity?
If there is n nodes in the tree, we'll visit every single node and calculating the height is just an O of 1 operation. So it would be O of n.
Is calculating the height of n? You said at each node you're gonna perform a depth first search. Here, right? So if I had to do, so how many depth first searches am I running if I'm gonna do it on each node?
So you're gonna visit this node and then visit this node and visit this node and get the height of the left and the right,
Mm-hmm.
and then using these results, you're gonna 2 is gonna get the height of and then two is gonna get the height of the left and the right, and then you're gonna visit each node at most once. You're not gonna visit multiple
Okay.
times.
Okay. I see. I see. I was thinking because you initially said you're gonna perform a depth first search on every single node.
I
But
see. Yeah, I mean, just like passing. Yeah, I mean, you are technically right. Yeah.
yeah. So
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 you
down
do a depth
here,
first.
if you look
Yeah.
at these three cases, which one are you gonna do? A pre-order, an in-order, a post-order?
I'm gonna visit the left and the right, and then use their heights to calculate my answer.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not sure which one that would be. That would probably be visit left. Okay, yeah, post order then.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, do you think it would be able to be done with a pre-order, in-order, or post-order is most optimal for here?
Pre-order would visit the node, then visit the left and the right. Um, visiting the node would mean that. Well, I mean, like to calculate the height of our node, we have to first know the height of our left and the right. So we have to first visit the left and the right subtree. So I don't think this one could work. Maybe like if we do some weird code, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My point is, yeah, like you're seeing why it kind of matters if you're gonna do a pre-order, in-order, post-order, right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So nice. That's a good thing to know because for me, when I do some of these graph questions, I make sure to think about okay, when do I like for this one, we kind of want to know the results when we're visiting a node. Like you mentioned, we want to know what happened in our left child, what happened in our right child, and then use what happened there to figure out our result. So I think
Mhm.
the best way to do those is usually a post-order traversal.
Right.
And when you start working with things like binary search trees, you're gonna have to do in-order traversals because in-order traversal lets you visit all the nodes in the proper order. That's why it's called in-order. And then pre-order is just if you want to do a regular DFS kind of thing. But these are small distinctions, and I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. But I think for me, it's important to know the variations that I have.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Go ahead and implement
Right.
that.
Okay, so I'm gonna define a function tree diameter, and basically we're gonna have this variable called answer, and we're gonna call DFS from the root, and answer should update this global variable, and then we'll just return answer.
Sure.
So let's define this DFS function. We'll call it node. Well, first, if root is null, then just okay. So let me just say what this this is gonna do. This is gonna return the height of the tree rooted at this node. Yeah, height of the tree rooted at this node. This is what DFS will return. So if it's null, then we'll just return 0. Otherwise, we'll just return 1 plus 1 plus
Let's just let's just
whichever
pull
tree
that
is
out.
bigger, either the left or the right.
Sorry, almost cut you off. But let's just pull it out into its own function just to keep it clean, because
Okay.
we could just have a separate move that function out.
I was gonna use like
I see.
non-local.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead then.
Okay. So we'll take the max of the left and the right, and that would be the height of our tree, whichever is longer, the left subtree or the right subtree. So we'll calculate the left height, and then we'll also calculate the right height.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then after this is how we're gonna update answer. Let me just copy what I wrote up of. And I think, let me just think about it. Um, yeah, I think this should work. This is what I implement. This is what I basically described.
Okay, so we're given a root. We're given node. And we're seeing. So the answer you're saying non-local. If not node, return 0. Noor, what's up? Then we go to left height. DFS.left, DFS right. Answer equals left plus right. Yep, makes sense. And then we return 1 plus the max of the left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks good to me. Let's try running it in the code. Okay. Nice, good job.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, wait. Need to push this in. Nice, good job. Yeah, giving you I would still give a pass because you took the hint really good. But
thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you a pass, especially for the new grad position. I didn't give you too much of a hint. I think mostly what I did was I just started listing out these traversals and then it clicked. Some guy said glad I'm in med school because coding makes no sense. No, good job. Your skills are good. I'll just keep practicing more lead code. I think you know what you're doing. Yeah, I think you're good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm gonna head out for tonight.
Yeah,
I
no
hope
problem.
you have a good night.
Good job. What's everyone giving him in the chat?
Yeah. Let me
All right, I'll catch you.
See you.
What's everyone giving him in the chat? Hired? Great work. Nice. Let me move this. Let me fix my OBS. Should we grind more lead code questions or what? Moderate, higher? Gervonta in the building. Let's get it. Yeah, that was good. Should we solve some more lead code questions or should we hop into some system design? Google guy, what's up? Yeah, strong hire for me is cracked. Strong. So what do y'all want to do? Let me know if y'all want to do system design. Let me just hop through my system design notes. See who's familiar. I'm just gonna read through some of my system design notes and see what people are saying. So I have this big list of system design notes. And sorry, let me move myself off this thing. Move yourself right here. Yeah, these are my notes. These are the notes that I would use in order to study for my interviews. So I pretty much compiled these notes from a few books. Dude, my Notion's tweaking. Wait. Let me restart my Notion. Let's end this here. Let's see how much lead code questions this guy did. Where is he? Yeah, let's run into some. Let's do some system design just so y'all know what's up. Do some basic system design. So these are my notes. I pretty much compiled them from reading a few books. The books that I read in order to know all this stuff is pretty much designing data intensive applications. This is a classic book on system design. So this one is more for pretty much it'll teach you everything you need to know, but it goes super deep into it gets super deep. So yeah. What else did I do? System design. The other one is the Alex Zhu books. So these books are really good too. So System Design 1 and System Design 2. Bite Go. What's the system? Send over the system design primer. Let's check it out. But yeah, these are the two books. Let's see. Let's just walk through some of the notes. So I kind of structured this in the same way. What do you consider to do a prereq before jumping into learning system design? I think you should. It depends. Let me think. I think honestly, with some new grad positions, they're gonna ask you system design interview questions. What is system design? System design is more for a new grad, or not really for new grads, but some companies will ask new grad system design questions. But mostly system design is for experienced grads. But even if you have 1 or 2 experience and you try to switch a job, they're gonna ask you system design questions. Our system design is mostly catered to infra backend development. You'll do system design whether it's a product role. My link doesn't go through. I sent it, but don't see it in your chat. Yeah, I don't know if links are working. But just classic system design questions are like design a. Let me put up a Scala. So there's 2 types of system design questions. There's more of the product related system design. So there's product system, and then like if you're working at infra, there's infra system design. So product system design questions that are common for this. And dude, what the this thing is tweaking. Wait, my cursor's not working here. So whatever. Product system designs is like URL shortener, design a newsfeed, what else? Design hotel reservation. So these are system design questions that are more product focused. And then if ones that are more infra focused are things like ad click system. What else? Build a key value store. Something like that. Those are more infrastructure related ones. Mahdi, depends on the role. Finally the cursor is working again. It depends on the role. Depending on the role, you'll get asked either a product system design or infra system design. It all depends on the role or the company. If you're coming into a more full stack development role, they're going to ask you a product design. And usually product design focuses a lot more on things like the database modeling, the APIs, maybe the front end experience or some of the front end experience. But mostly the product ones are more related to database design and API design. Whereas infrastructure, they're caring more about fault tolerance, resiliency, and all of the other non-functional requirements usually. And they're trying to test a lot of your other system or your deep distributed systems knowledge when it comes to infra system design. Does that make sense? Yeah. So pretty much every time you start a system design interview, you want to start gathering the functional requirements. So pretend someone goes ahead and asks you, design a URL shortener. The first thing that you want to do is start asking them what the functional requirements are and what are the non-functional requirements. So similar to when you do lead code questions, where you need to clarify how things are working, you need to do the same thing. Ryan, you should learn. When I was graduating, I was studying system design. Yeah, I was studying system design. Not every company asked me it, but definitely I was learning system design when I graduated from school or when I was a senior. And the resource that I used a lot was grokking the coding interview or grokking the systems interview. Where's this? So when I was a new grad, this book. I would read this book. I would mix it in with my leak code. So if I'm gonna study for 5 or 6 hours a day, I'd spend about 4 hours doing leak code and 2 hours of system design. And first, if you don't know anything about system design, first understand the system design basics. So pretty much things like I'm gonna mention here. I'm pretty much gonna walk you through everything top to bottom through my notes. So if you don't know anything about system design, this primer pretty much has all the basics, like requirements gathering, system characteristics, scalability, reliability, availability, efficiency, serviceability. So these are key concepts you need to know. You need to understand the simple client server setup. You need to know what APIs are, what are REST APIs. GraphQL is a little bit more like the rest of these are less used. I guess consistency is there. Consistency is oh, where's consistency? Let me see. Yeah, consistency is definitely important. I missed that. But yeah, talking about, you need to know all the different databases. What is a SQL database? What is a NoSQL database? Maybe depending on the company, you might need to know graph databases, vector databases. Then you have to understand things like data partitioning, vertical scaling versus horizontal scaling. This pretty much comes up on every single interview. Vertical scaling versus horizontal scaling. Because at first, you're going to design a very basic system. And usually the best way to scale that system is through horizontal scaling, where you pretty much add more servers to support the workload. Everything making sense so far for everyone in the chat? Let's see what the analytics are saying. Okay, got 18 people. Cool. And I'll just walk through. Dude, every time I leave my Notion, it tweaks. Wait. Give me a sec. I need to reboot my Notion. But essentially, go look at grokking the system design and pretty much work through all these system design basics. Yeah, caching falls under scalability. This is an important concept too, caching. So pretty much these are the basics. There's not too much here. But first, spend time learning the basics like load balancing, indexes, proxies, data partitioning, etc. Honestly, when you're a new grad, you're probably just going to be able to BS system design. You're gonna look at all these concepts and you're gonna be able to kind of regurgitate it in an interview. But until you actually work with a large scale system or work in the industry, this stuff won't make sense. Honestly, for me, I studied it and I kind of understood it. But really, when I started working in the industry, I started to really understand it. And now it all makes a lot of sense to me. But as a new grad, you should just basically know a lot of these terms and be able to walk through a very simple solution to URL shortener, or design a newsfeed, or design a messenger system. That's also a really popular one. And I can walk you through exactly how to do this as well. So let's just actually walk through design a messenger system, and then you'll get a sense to how we actually do this. How's that sound? Yeah, okay, let's do it. Dude, my spelling is so bad. Okay, that just looked off. Okay, let me get some water. Okay, and we're gonna do this pretty basic. So usually let's do design a newsfeed, because that's one that I've done a lot. Design a newsfeed system. So what's a newsfeed system? Similar to Instagram, right? Actually, let's keep it design a newsfeed. Yo, the real Bay Post was good. So when someone goes in and says design a newsfeed system, automatically everyone here knows newsfeed systems are really complicated. You can't build a complete newsfeed system in just 1 hour interview or just 50-minute interview, right? So pretty much that's why it's really important to gather the functional and non-functional requirements, because you need to figure out the scope that you want to cover within this interview. So that's what I would start to do. So functional requirements are what are the things that this system needs to do specifically. No. You have to drive these. You need to ask questions to you need to kind of drive these functional requirements. So if I came in here and they told me to design a newsfeed system, I'll start figuring out the functional requirements. For example, I'd be like, okay, so what do we need to have in this news feed? Is it going to be photos? Is it going to be just text? Is it going to be videos? And then the interviewer might be, okay, let's just handle photos. And I'll say, okay, we need to be able to handle photos, upload photos. And then pretty much I'll continue to pull in. So should I be allowed to follow people or unfollow people? And then maybe the interviewer will say, that's out of scope. Assume that you already have friends and the friend list or the friend graph is already there. We just need to work on uploading photos and then viewing the news feed. So then I would write down upload photos and view the news feed. And then only working with photos. So essentially that's what these functional requirements are. Let me bring up my Notion. Does that make sense? So functional requirements are what does the system actually need to do? So let me go up here. So yeah, functional requirements. What does the system do? So for design a news feed, be able to get the news feed and be able to post the news feed. And then let's just say those are the only requirements. Let's just say those are the only requirements that we care about. And then sometimes we could also specify below the line, such as follow friends. Pretty much we don't need to care about managing friends. And let's say we don't care about videos, shorts, etc. See, we're really reducing the scope here. So let's say the only functional requirements are uploading photos and viewing the newsfeed, and below the line is managing friends. We don't care about videos and shorts, etc. We don't care about comments. Let's say this is Instagram from 2013. How's that sound? I don't know, Real Bay. I'll have to think about that. Everyone understand functional requirements so far? I'll answer any questions about functional requirements for the next minute. If not, we're going to move on. Cool. Maybe the chat's a little slow, but okay. Let's get into populating newsfeed to the page in order. Yeah, I guess that's part of the newsfeed right here. So reverse chronological, or I guess it's regular chronological. What's chronological? Yeah, reverse. So reverse chronological order. So that's a good thing to verify as well. Okay, let's get into the next part. What are the non-functional requirements? So functional are what is to be expected from the application you're designing. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. Functional requirements is basically what are the functions that how is this system going to function? What does the system need to do? And then non-functional requirements are more of the system characteristics. So then we start figuring out those, and honestly, a lot of times, especially if you're a new grad, they're just gonna want you to hit the hit the functional requirements, which means by the end of the interview, they just want to make sure that the system behaves exactly to spec, and it does these specific operations, which are uploading photos and viewing the newsfeed. So to get the non-functional requirements, a lot of times you're gonna start thinking about scale. So these are the system characteristics like scale. Pretend they say we're gonna have 100 million people using this. If they say we're gonna have 100 million people using this system, we need to make sure that this thing can handle 100 million people essentially. And pretty much, let's dive into some of the non-functional requirements. So the different non-functional requirements are things like, let me bring up my notes right here, like scalability, reliability, consistency. So I'll bring this up here. So usually you're getting into these words when you start thinking about non-functional. So if they tell you that the scale is 100 million people, you're automatically gonna want to build it in a way that's scalable, because if you only have one, if it doesn't scale well, then it won't be able to support that much load. So scalability just means how well the system's gonna scale. And scalability. So scalability is the capability of a system, process, or a network to grow and manage increased demand. Any distributed system that can continuously evolve in order to support the growing amount of work is considered to be scalable. So a lot of the times, most interviews, you're gonna want to make your system in a way that's scalable. And I'll show different ways that you can make your system scale. So availability. What is availability? So availability is the time a system remains operational to perform its required function in a specific time period. It is a simple measure of the percentage of time that a system, service, or machine. So we would need some cloud revise, right? Come on, Shu. That makes sense, but we want to talk in more primitives like that. We don't need to talk about specific things like serverless backend. Honestly, we just need to just talk in terms of simple clients and servers. So for example, what does it mean for a system to have high ability? Exactly. We just kind of need to lay out. For most of the times, I'm just using so basically you're teaching from a ChatGPT create definitions and examples list. I made this list by myself. These are all my notes, Warren. Let's see. But what's it called? And I'm walking through the example myself. But yeah, whatever you say. Let's see. Dude, I can send you my notes. I compiled these notes by reading a few books, which was Alex Zhu's 2 books. Alex Zhu had. I shared this earlier, but let me bring out the book. This is my favorite system design book, so I have to show it. The Real Bay, I probably like 3 months. So this book, I read this book a couple years ago. Let me see if it's popping in the chat. Well, oh shoot, it's not popping. Give me a sec. Oh, it's not popping up well. It's all good. So I'll bring it up over here. So the books that I read in order so first I read this book, Designing Data Intensive Applications. This is a pretty classic book. But like I've mentioned it before, it's a very hard read. It took me 4 or 5 months to get through this book. It just takes a while to get through this book. That's the first book. And then the Alex Zhu books right here, the System Design 1 and System Design 2, these are really good books as well. So I pretty much, after reading these 3 books, dude, it's a long book. After reading these 3 books, I pretty much compiled this list of all of the different notes. So pretty much when I'm going into a system, probably gonna relax, Alex. Yeah, just read Alex Zhu's one. That one's a way easier read. But pretty much, yeah, Warren, what are you experienced dev? Like you've already done a lot of system design interviews? But pretty much through all these books, I created all these notes. And these are the notes I pretty much would read before I do system design interview. Warren, nice. How many years of experience do you have? 9? Sick. Yeah, you have way more experience than me. Let's see. So, deep dive probably is gonna better perform your deep dive probably is gonna. Yeah, I agree. The designing data intensive applications is what you would learn in a distributed systems course, and it gets really really deep. But if you need to, if you have an interview, all I can say is the best way to learn is by doing. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I agree that, but they're gonna ask you this regardless. If you're when I was in Grad, a couple of companies asked me this, and I mentioned this even before you joined. That when I was in Grad, I was learning all this system design concepts. I didn't really understand anything. I didn't understand. I understood. I kind of understood it, but only really when I started working in the industry, it really clicked for me, and all this system design stuff made sense. So, for Fang, the best way to learn is by doing leak code. Warren, Warren, everyone, a lot of people on this chat, it's just a warning, a lot of the people in this chat are big leak code heads, so my channel is a lot based on algorithms and stuff like that. I'm just trying to teach very basic system design knowledge for people who, because there's a few new grads that were just asking me for very, very basics. But honestly, most of my content, I'm focusing on algorithms as well. Because I'm still new in the industry. There's still a lot that I need to learn about system design and stuff like that. So I'm just sharing the notes that I used in order to land my jobs. But Joshua, what's up? So basically, what is availability? And I'll just put my notes on the side over here. So availability is pretty much it just means how often is how available is your system. So pretend you only had one server, right? The best way to do it is, let's just think of clients and servers, right? How long have you been working in the industry, James? I knew the answer but forgot. I've been working for 3.5. So essentially, pretend I have a single server. Exactly. Okay. So scalability, we'll get into that after. It's more a function of a lot of these things. But for availability, let's say we have one server, right? And we're trying to request the newsfeed from this one server. The moment that this server goes down, I can no longer access the newsfeed. So this system is not really available, if that makes sense. Well, availability is more of a measure of how, if this system never goes down, then it's high. Oh, stream stop. Wait, what's happening? I work with a lot of juniors. Is it still good? Hyper Ultimate? Let me check. Everything good? Hold up. Okay. Which question pin? Stream is good. Cool. Warren, where do you, like, what state are you working in? Looks like it's just me, Saj. Okay. Okay, everyone's saying stream is good. Okay, so high availability means that. Nice, cool. So wait, let me just make sure, dude. Okay, dude, my wife. I'm switching to Google Fiber. This is so annoying, but okay. What do we have here? So, but like, just learn. Okay, so where someone told me explain what availability is. So pretty much, if you have one server and it goes down, this person cannot access the news feed. So one way to make this more available is to have another server as well. So pretty much throw this behind a load balancer. So one way to make this more available is to have multiple, is to have multiple servers. So and probably there'll be a load balancer here. And essentially what a load balancer is doing is it's balancing the load across multiple servers. So we'll call this a load balancer. So basically you'll ask the load balancer for the newsfeed. Okay, wait, is it just Hyper Ultimate? Okay, everyone's saying the stream is fine. Hyper Ultimate, you might have to refresh your thing. What he's talking about is you can do. So, is the load balancer a separate process, app, or just a middleware? Usually it's a whole nother machine. So, usually a load balancer. So, these are your application servers, and this is your load balancer, and it's a whole different machine. So, yeah, these are your app servers, and your app servers could be full servers, but mostly they're virtualized servers these days. So you're just renting a little piece of one server. So these could be EC2 instances in the most basic example is simple EC2 instances in AWS. So these are the different app servers. Now, if you request a newsfeed, instead if this one goes down, right? The load balancer can route you to this one instead. Not really, Paul. There's not really a master slave yet. Master slave is more just related to replication. If you're talking about replication. Joshua, I'm down, man. I'm down. So you could see why having multiple servers with a load balancer makes it more available, right? Because if one server goes down, then I can talk to another server. So my availability is higher. Yeah, exactly. So we're just walking through what availability is. Also doing this sort of setup. What if the LB goes down? You can have multiple load balancers, but most people always bring this up. But the thing is, the load balancer is barely doing any work. It's just, you can add multiple load balancers. That's one thing you can do. But all the load balancer is doing is pretty much routing traffic. So that's availability. And also having a setup like this actually is one way to scale your system. And this is called horizontal scaling. So horizontal scaling is when you add more servers to support the workload versus equals more servers. Vertical scaling equals how do the servers sync? So these are pretty much application servers, Leono. Usually application servers don't store the data. Usually you'll work with something like there will be an external database. So usually these app servers, these are pretty much host the API endpoints. So as a client, I'd hit the app server, and the app server will reach into the DB and fetch data and then get that data back. So essentially what these servers can work independently from each other, and that's one important thing, is that servers should be able to work independently from each other. What class do you learn this in? You learned this in distributed systems in uni. Yeah, you can have two LBs. You can have people do that, but for interviews, I like to just keep it with one load balancer. So, really? You learn surface of this, not in depth. Okay. So availability, or I already went through availability. So let's just walk through, what I mentioned. I think we covered horizontal scaling, but let's go into that deeper. So let's go into this case, scaling. Scale. So let's go back to this simple example. When I have like one person, let me draw the body better, right? Pretend I have one person using a server. This is the server, right? And say what we're doing is grabbing a news feed. If we have one server, and say the server is reaching into some database to get data and fetch it. Scale in, scale out mean? I'm not sure. Sounds familiar, but I don't want to say anything that I don't know too much. But let's say, okay, we have one server scaling. Pretend if we have one user, that's fine, right? But pretend we just start adding a bunch of users. Like we just add a bunch of users, and they're all using the server, right? So if they're all sending requests to the server, that server starts becoming overloaded. It's doing way too much. It's doing way too much work. So one way to scale this server is to pretty much vertically scale it, which is make the server even stronger. Pretend this is a very basic server, and pretend this is like an EC2 instance, or let's just say in terms of number of threads that it can process. Pretend that it only has maybe 2 gigabytes of RAM and can scale in, scale out. So pretend this only has 2 gigabytes of RAM and can do 5 threads or something like that. So now we can't even handle this many users, 5 users. So one way to scale it is to vertically scale it, which is put in a bigger and badder server. Pretend we upgrade the server so that it's way stronger, and maybe it has 32 gigs of RAM and can process maybe 40 threads. Now we can handle more and more people access or using that server, right? So now pretend our app was Instagram. Pretend our app is Instagram. We can support more users, but pretend now we take all these users and the user base even continues to grow even more from that. Let's see this. Pretend we have even more people trying to access the server, right? We can keep adding more we can keep increasing our RAM, our CPU, all of that. But at some point we're going to hit a limit, and at some point this thing is basically going to be a supercomputer in order to handle our load. Imagine it was only one computer or one server handling all of Instagram's user base. That would have to be the strongest computer ever invented by human life, essentially. And also what they found out is maintaining one of those supercomputers are very expensive because the parts for it are very expensive and very niche. So it actually gets very expensive to just continue vertically scaling your server. So does that make sense for everyone of what vertical scaling is and how it could reach its limits? Cool. Let's get into horizontal scaling. I'm not sure with this in an interview context, but you need to mention trade-offs of cost efficiency of when to do vertical and horizontal, and when too much horizontal is hard for consistency. Markiel, like honestly, I all the companies I worked on are cloud companies. I've never seen a company doing on-prem too much, except if they're a more dated company. But I'm not an expert to talk about that, honestly. I'm more of a product-focused engineer. I just know enough to do well in a system design interview. I'm not gonna lie here and say I'm a system design expert with only 3.5 years of experience. But I've passed system design interviews in my past, and my current job I did well enough in the system design interview that they up-leveled me when I did the interview. So that's kind of the base of what I know. So let's just take the same example and pretend we have all of these people trying to access the one server. How many system design interviews have you given? I've probably done like 15 system design interviews. So let's take the same example right here, and instead of vertically scaling it, yeah, there's trade-offs for everything. There's trade-offs for on-prem, non-on-prem, but let's see. So how would we do this with horizontal scaling? Let me delete this. So with horizontal scaling, pretend we had so many users here. Yeah, you need to learn this stuff for sure. So let's just say we go with our example when we have a very simple 2 gigabytes of RAM and 5 threads that we can concurrently process. Or let's just say I think Node.js only does 1 thread at a time. So we pretty much have 1 thread and 2 gigs, but it's very smart at it. Actually, let's just say 5 threads and 2 gigs. So how can we handle this big user base? Essentially, what we can do is we can throw this, but we can throw, instead of building one server that can handle all of these requests, we pretty much we horizontally scale it by adding a bunch of different servers, 3 different servers to handle the request. And let me zoom out a bit. So now we're horizontally scaling. So we create 3 servers, and then we'll add a server in the middle called our load balancer. So what a load balancer does is it figures out what server to send the request to. Now pretty much everyone talks to the load balancer to send the request, but then pretty much the load balancer will distribute the load evenly across all of the different balancers here, or all of the different servers here. And there's multiple algorithms for distributing traffic. You could do simple round robin. These are different algos for. So we have different algos for load balancing, and sometimes they'll ask you that in interview. So different algos for load balancer, like round robin, lowest usage. I think these ones make the lowest usage makes the most sense. Use the one that has the most low CPU usage. So yeah, that's vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. Let's see what everyone's saying in the chat. Everyone's kind of, let's see what people are debating. Yep, having 2 LBs. Distributed systems is usually a grad level course. Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. So scaling, are you talking about 2D, 3D? Yeah, Nora, you have to be more specific there. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh wait, let me make sure my stats analytics. I'm not super familiar with this in an interview context, but do you need to mention trade-offs of cost efficiency of when to do vertical or horizontal scaling. You can do the other thing that you need to know too is you can do vertical scaling across the different aspects of your system. You can vertically or horizontal scale your application servers. You can vertically or horizontally scale your databases. You can vertically or horizontally scale your message queuing system. All of those can be vertically or horizontally scaled. So, yeah, and all of them have trade-offs. For example, vertically, a lot of people will just vertically scale their databases because that's a lot easier. And in order to horizontally scale it, then you start having to shard your databases. And with things like SQL databases, sharding your databases makes you have to increase, or introduce more complexity in your business logic because now you're querying multiple databases. Does that make sense to everyone? I guess my question is, do you need to mention those trade-offs as you're designing? Hyper Ultimate, I guess, wait, let me choose this. I guess my question is, do you need to mention those trade-offs as you're deciding? Yeah, I think, Paul, it's good to mention what's happening, especially you can't just start horizontally. That's why I mentioned here. Let me get here. That's why after I grab the functional requirements in my interviews, I start asking what the scale is, because depending on the scale, then I start thinking about different things. I start thinking, if they say that only 1,000 people are going to use our service, then I don't really need to get into scalability. You don't really need to get into consistency because you're just working with one single copy of the database. And yeah, scale is important because it drives the non-functional requirements. So that's an important part to ask. So I think it's free. So does that make sense, Paul? Like, if I go to the interview and I just start horizontally scaling my system and they told me my system only needs to support 1,000 users, I'm automatically gonna look bad because I'm just over optimizing. Hope that makes sense. What else do we have here? Yeah, and these are the different round robin techniques. Cool stream, by the way. We get to discuss ideas. Yeah, no problem. Hyper Ultimate. If you need to horizontally scale a DBS, I think NoSQL is best. I mean, choosing SQL versus NoSQL is not really dependent. You're right that NoSQL databases are easier to horizontal scale, but the decision for SQL versus NoSQL is more related to how you want to model your data and the type of industry you're in. So if your data is highly relational and there's a lot of relationships with it, using a NoSQL database is going to be hard to build your system using a NoSQL database. And NoSQL, I've seen companies use NoSQL databases even though the data was highly relational, and it causes a lot of issues. Yeah, exactly. So if you're working in finance, a lot of times they say if you're working in fintech, SQL databases is an important way to go. And one thing you need to know also with NoSQL is that a lot of NoSQL databases are eventually consistent and they don't support transactions. And I think an important part with NoSQL or SQL databases, sorry, I keep mixing them up. SQL databases it's really good. SQL is good if you want transactions, obviously. Usually they're opposite from eventual consistency, which is like very consistent. And then also the database integrity is good. It maintains database integrity. Dude, did I spell that? So database integrity is very important too, especially when you have a highly relational model. Mongo supports transaction distributed locks. Yeah, Mongo basically behaves as a SQL database, but it's NoSQL, right? So MongoDB pretty much it behaves. MongoDB behaves very different than something like DynamoDB. Both of them are NoSQL databases, but the way MongoDB is implemented, it's basically a SQL database, or the way that it's hard to horizontally scale those. Easy sharding. Do companies these days really use SQL? Yeah, companies definitely use SQL. As I mentioned, the SQL versus NoSQL. Yeah, it's still heavily used. SQL versus NoSQL is more. It's based on the data. You should make. Can you comment on my previous comment? Hyper Ultimate I will after this. But SQL, NoSQL. When you're deciding on what database to do, you definitely need it's the main consideration is how your data needs to be modeled. If it's highly relational and you need to maintain relationships and integrity between relationships, SQL is probably a better way to go because it maintains a lot of integrity between the different relations that you have. So for example, if you delete something from one model, it can cascade to other models, versus if you're using a NoSQL database, you have to do that logic of cascading deletes in business logic, and that can lead to a lot of bugs. So I've seen companies try to do NoSQL database even though their database is highly relational, and it's causes a lot of problems and headaches for engineers. A lot of technical debt. Yeah, exactly. What Warren said. Warren out here has 9 years of experience. Because I think a lot of people will say that NoSQL is the new meta, but it's not really. SQL and NoSQL, graph databases, vector databases, all of those have their own use case for it. So it's more seeing. So for example, if I was gonna store, if I was Facebook and I'm gonna store an object tree, or I'm gonna store basically the tree of people or the graph, the social graph essentially. I'm not gonna use either of these cases databases. I'm gonna use a graph database. Why not? Choose the database. NoSQL is used more in apps and stuff. Yeah, SQL is still very much used, and you'll see a lot of NoSQL databases try to provide you SQL like interfaces these days. It's crazy. So with a lot of these NoSQL databases, they're gonna allow you a way to query it using SQL. But although it's not really using SQL, it's more just syntax. What's cringe, Warren? I've heard the only downside of using SQL is its scalability. It's hard to do sharding. Yeah, the one thing about SQL is when you do things like sharding, which is take your big database that has so much data in it and start splitting out to multiple, is that it increases you pretty much need to handle in the. Yeah, Warren, I've seen it happen, and it gets bad. If you have a highly relational data and you're using NoSQL, it gets really, really bad. Because with a lot of these NoSQL databases, they're denormalized or normalized. Let me see. Normalized database. Hyper Ultimate, thanks for hopping in. Oh yeah, okay. So basically, with NoSQL, a lot of the data is denormalized. That's how it's even that's what I just noticed that. Well, I guess you have to denormalize a lot of the data in order to avoid querying multiple times to the database. So a lot of the times the data is going to be pretty denormalized. So there's going to be a lot of redundancy within all of the different data or the different tables. So when you're maintaining things like relationships, you have to start deleting from multiple tables. And handling that in the business logic can get really messy. Dude, Hyper Ultimate, it's cutting out all the links. But let's see. Yeah. Pretty much what this person says, the only downside for SQL is its scalability. It's hard to do sharding. The only thing I'll say about sharding is when you do sharding, then you have to handle the shard. You have to handle that in your business logic. You have to be able to like pick from which shard to go grab from. Dude, we're covering a lot of topics here. What else is everyone interested in? Let's get back into this unless anyone has more questions. But yeah, I think the question versus the question of SQL versus NoSQL is all about what your data model is, like what Warren said. So for example, you'll see some candidates who want to spam. Bro, Excalidraw is classic Silicon Valley app. We can't shy away from it. I'm pretty sure it was built by Facebook. Warren, send it over. GitLab has a good case study. I'll look that up. Okay, let's get into the next topic, or let's get into the next thing. Reliability. Or let's get into, can you go over transactions, like multiple edits to the same record? Okay. Yeah, we can get into database transactions. So I mean, under the hood, what transactions are essentially doing in the most basic ways ever. Here, let's see. Sure, man, join. Goodbye. Hyper Ultimate, see ya. Thanks for joining in. This is just getting deep. GitLab has a good. Can you go over transactions, like multiple edits to the same record? Okay, yeah, we can go over database transactions, which is very important. Can you go over transactions? Most of the time, transactions are only supported by SQL databases. Let's verify that. Let's ask GPT. Give me a sec. Chat GPT. Let's see if there's any NoSQL database that has transactions. Sure, Paul. Drop it in. If I know, I'll answer. If I don't, then I'll move on to something else. Because I'm more of a full stack software engineer. So let's assume the most basic case that transactions are mostly only supported by SQL databases. Markel, I like that. Oh, Warren. Okay. Markel, most of my experiences, or let's see. Can you go over transactions, like multiple edits to the same record? So what transactions essentially doing? Let's say we have a table. But more transactions are multiple things. Transactions, I think transactions in the most basic sense provide you all or nothing behavior, and that can be important. So transactions is pretty much all or nothing. That means you can perform. So pretend I have this transaction. We begin the transaction. Usually, are you in the Discord? Yeah, hop in the Discord. So transactions provide you this. Gotcha. So it succeeds or fails. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the more important things about transactions. So pretend we begin transaction. Say we have a date. Yeah, exactly. And then at the end, we can either roll back or commit. Usually you want to roll back if it fails, right? Or commit if it succeeds. So the main point about that is you can batch multiple operations in here inside the transaction. And if it fails at any point, it reverts all of that. If it passes everything, it commits it to the database. And that's very powerful because if pretend you have 1, 2, say you have 1, 2, 3 different commands in here. So pretend they're different inserts and one of them and it fails and we don't roll back, then we leave the database in an inconsistent state, right? We have a database where we did operation 1 and 2, but not 3. So what transactions do is pretty much can make certain SQL commands atomic. So when it comes to distributed systems and distributed algorithms, one of the most classic things that they'll always mention is how an operation like x equals x plus 1. Pretend we have a global x, and then we have multiple threads just trying to access that. Pretty much, since this operation is not atomic, it could lead to race conditions where the value doesn't increase, or sometimes the value skips over by 1 or 2. So that's also one thing that transactions do, is it turns multiple SQL commands that usually are non-atomic and can make it atomic, essentially. Does that make sense? Atomic means it's basically one unit. So you can have like 3 different insert act as one insert. Yeah. Yeah, for SQL. It's mostly for SQL. You can achieve the same kind of thing with NoSQL if you're using idempotency, but it's a bit different, and this is a bit more. These are definitely a bit easier to understand the transactions. Yeah, exactly. But one downfall of using transaction is it throws on a bunch of locks on your database. So pretend I have a bunch of different. Pretend my transaction is writing to a bunch of different rows in my database. It's pretty much gonna lock those rows from any other person modifying those rows, essentially, or using those rows in the database. So yeah, like using locks, that's the one downside. Yo, Shasha, what's up? This guy's tuning in during his stand-up. That's crazy. Dude, we're covering a lot of topics, though. I like this. Let me move myself over here. Dahlia, what's up? Okay, that's the very basic thing about transactions. Let me see if I even have that in my notes. Dude, we're gonna cover a lot. So a big thing with databases too is acid versus base. So you need to know these concepts as well. So you'll see like acid databases and stuff like that. So acid databases, I'm pretty sure it's mostly with SQL databases. So things like atomicity or atomicity, or I don't know how to say that, but basically what I was saying is making sure things are atomic, consistent, isolated, durable, etc. So know these acid versus base in databases. So these are different properties that you can make your database, and a lot of traditional SQL databases are acid compliant kind of thing, and more of like the NoSQL databases are more base, which is basically available, soft state, and eventually consistent. One thing about NoSQL databases is a lot of them are eventually consistent. So then you also have to handle that in your logic as well. So depending on what industry you're in or how you want your system to work, that's also a key consideration. Do you care that the system is eventually consistent? And you can work around that as well, but that's what I'm saying. Everything is a trade-off. You can't just be like, I'm just going to go with this or that. You got to consider a lot of different things as well. And obviously, at some point, you just got to make a decision and just roll with it. I've seen companies do well regardless of what they choose. I think an important part is also what people are going to know. So I think a lot of companies do choose something simple like MongoDB for their database because they know a lot of people are going to know it, because it's a very beginner level database, so that they can easily hire people to work on that product. So a lot of people end up doing that. So there's so much factors with choosing a database. Like And one of them is, can you hire people that's going to be using this database? If you use some database that no one knows how to use at all, dude, you're right. Maddie, like, how much experience do you have so far? I used to be like you when all I wanted to do was code. But at some point, you have to think about the system. Nice, yeah. Honestly, for the first 3 years of my career, I just wanted to code. But at some point, I just want to get more into the other stuff too. Holy. Yeah. Senior or system design is gonna land you that senior. Do you know much about idempotency? Yeah, a little bit. What questions do you want to know? Which system design primer? My system design primer? My system design primer is good for me specifically because I wrote it, so I kind of structured things in a way that I can consume it easily. But if someone else were to read my system design notes, they might not like it. But pretty much this is, like I mentioned a few times, that these are notes that I compiled from reading 3 different books, which is Designing Data Intensive Applications, Alex Zhu's System Design Interview Volume 1 and Volume 2. Do the resume tips only apply to comp sci, or can I utilize those tips? You can use that as well. Okay, that's a good question. Atomic operations and idempotencies are pretty much 2 different concepts. So idempotency just pretty much means you don't do the same. I guess it means you don't have the same side effect twice, or you don't. Let me just make sure. Idempotency is like when you don't want to. Pretty much, when you want to make something idempotent, essentially, if you call that thing multiple times, you get the same exact result, and side effects aren't executed multiple times. Essentially, let's just make sure. Let's just verify this concept. Idempotency. Yeah. Did you read the whole data? Yeah, I read that book. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, that's idempotency is just, you don't want the side effects to happen. Pretend I have an email service, right? Pretend I have an email service, and I make a call to it, right? And it's supposed to ack me when it passed, right? And it's gonna send out an email, or pretend I have a server, and that server is supposed to charge me. I'm supposed to send a request, right? And it's gonna pretend it's gonna charge me, right? Pretend I have the request. So I have a server. Pretty much, I send a request, and it's gonna ack me after it charged me. But pretend it doesn't ack me. How do I know it charged me? Right? If this thing is idempotent, we could just make another request, and we don't have to worry about getting double charged. So a lot of times to do that, you have to do like an idempotency key, and a lot of fintech companies use idempotent. There's different ways to make things idempotent. There's tons of different ways, but a very common way is using an idempotency key. But essentially, I can just send a request. If I know this thing's idempotent, I can send a request again, and I don't have to worry about it charging me again. So that's different than making things atomic. Stateless pretty much just means it's not maintaining state. So pretend I have a database, right? Oh, I gotta go, but ice cool, no problem. Dude, lots of people in this chat. Just keep asking away. Is it similar to stateless? Stateless or stateful or stateless? This is also important, very important concept. Stateful or stateless is a different concept completely from all these. Stateful or stateless, it can be applied to anything, but it's also applied. It's mainly applied to servers, or a lot of times applied to API servers. So a lot of times they'll ask you, do you want to make your API stateful or stateless? A lot of APIs, stateless is it doesn't depend on the client. Stateless means it doesn't maintain state on the server. Basically, it doesn't maintain state on the server. So pretend, what's a good example? Yeah, exactly. It pretty much means, like, if you're pretend I have a distributed system, right? Yeah, exactly what Warren said. Pretend I have a load balancer and I have a person, right? Pretend I'm talking to this load balancer and it's maintaining something of stateless. Let's see. Any request will have the same output. No, stateless just means that the system doesn't maintain state. So one thing that a application server can maintain is a user's session, right? So pretend my server is maintaining a session. So what does that mean? The server is maintaining certain things about me while I'm accessing that website, right? That's usually Liam. What's good? Yo, Liam, they're asking what the difference between stateful or stateless. So pretend I have a session. Pretend in the session I'm handling my authentication, right? So pretend I have a database. I have one database, and I'm storing my authentication in. I have a session hosted on the database, maintaining my authentication, right? So pretty much, in order to access this database, I need to verify that that this client has an active session, essentially, right? So if I store this session data inside of my application server, now this server becomes stateful. It's maintaining some sort of state, which is the session data. So pretend we're vertically or we're horizontally scaling our system, and we have multiple application servers. Let's say these are app servers, right? Now if the load balancer routes me to this one, it's gonna think I'm logged out. Why? Because my session is stored here. So now these servers aren't stateful or are stateful. That's the one downside, is that we need to, in order to get the session or get the state that the user was in before, I need to be routed to the same exact server that I've been using from my other request, right? So it's harder to horizontally scale that. So to make this, does that make sense of why that becomes stateful now? If I host my session, if I store my session details within each of the servers? Who's asking this question? Give it a second to get the explanation. Yeah. Oh wait. I might have that really. Wait. Dude, I'm gonna bring on this really good. Hop on the stream. Wait a sec. There's this freshman who's gonna join the chat at some point, and he has a really good resume. So one way to make this. Yeah, so the session is not stored at all, right? So one way to make our application server stateless is host the session in a different database. So pretend we have a database where we maintain the session. So now, pretty much now that we moved our session from here to the database, now when I'm a client, I can pretty much hit now that when I'm a client, I can hit this database and it could figure out my session, or if I hit this database, it could still figure out my session. And these app servers don't maintain any state. They pretty much just respond to request. That's different than idempotency. Idempotency is more just like avoiding double work. Or yeah, let me look up the exact definition of that. Exactly, like idempotency is the where there can be multiple times without changing the result. So if I do things once or do things if I run a function once or twice or 3 times, I think the best example is this charge thing. If I hit this server 5 times with this, if I hit the server 5 times with the same idempotency key, it should not charge me 5 times, but it should charge me once. So that's what it means right here. So where you can apply the same thing multiple times. That's print plus 1 will always use exactly. But stateless and stateful is more just how you can build. It is more like a system characteristic. Is your system maintaining state, or is it not maintaining state? And if it's hosting things like a session, then it's maintaining state, and the state that it's maintaining is a session. If it's not maintaining anything, it's literally just taking a request. It's taking all the information from the request to figure out the response, essentially. And it doesn't need to hold some internal state. Then that's stateless. But I can see what you mean, because a lot of when it comes to functional programming, a lot of the different concepts is you want to make your thing you want to make your operation stateful, you want to make all your functions stateless. That's all things that you want to do. Like, a lot of it goes hand in hand, but they are different concepts. Markel, you got any other, or Madi, you got any other questions? Check your DMs where? Let me check. Oh yeah, I got you after this. Let me see. What are you asking? Oh yeah, I got you. Shashwa, are you in the Discord? We can hop on a voice. Who wants me to do resume reviews? You want me to do a resume review? Okay, hop on the voice. Hop on the Discord. Yo, someone send the Discord link. Okay, what other concepts do y'all wanna hit that you're not too familiar with? Okay, send over the resumes. Okay, I'm gonna give this one guy a call. Give me a sec. How long is your stand-up? You've been in this stand-up for like 30 minutes. How would you design the system if you want to share a session between the servers by hosting the session in a different database? So instead of hosting it inside the memory, because one way is hosted in the memory of the server, and the reason why that's so fast, it's actually, there's trade-offs though. So if we host the sessions inside of the servers and we just do everything in memory, but if we host it in a separate database, we have to query the database in order to get the session data. So that slows things down. Imagine I have to pretty much get a response, find out if they're authenticated from the session, then I have to query the database. That adds so much more network calls. The network calls is usually what slows down your system. If I did everything in memory, pretend I had the session data here, I had the database there, I literally just return really fast. I'm gonna do a quick resume. How many people, Shashwa, how much people are on your team? That's crazy. Is using shared in-memory store a security risk? I'm not sure. Oh, okay, my guy's in the lounge. Hopping in. Give me a sec. Yo, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
How you doing? Fellow Canadian. You're living in Victoria?
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I'm in Victoria right now.
Dude, that's crazy. Living on the island. How's the weather treating
Yeah.
you?
It's pretty warm actually, like as compared to like the rest of Canada. I was
Nice.
actually like flying out to Saskatchewan
Oh, really?
like next week for like a engineering competition. It's called like WEC, I think.
Oh, really?
And like I was looking at the temperature and it was like -35 in
Oh, damn.
Saskatchewan, which is just like unreal.
Dude, I'm from Alberta, so it's really cold. But
Yeah.
let me. Are you on the stream? Cause well, guys,
Oh wait.
I have a special guest. This guy dropped in his resume, and he has one of the best first year resumes that I've ever seen. So I just had to get him on the stream. Let me post up your resume. Um, let me jump. And you're actually like the first person to drop it in the resume review. That's so funny.
Pardon?
You're the first person to drop it in the resume review. So we're
Oh,
gonna.
really?
I think so.
Okay.
So we're getting into this resume review session. Yo, Chad, check this guy's resume review or resume out. Who taught you how to make? So walk us through some of your experience. You're the valedictorian in your high school.
Yeah, that was like a combination of like getting good grades, but also like being voted by like your grad class.
I see. So, what kind of things were you interested in when you're in high school? Did you already know you're gonna get into coding at that point?
Yeah, I'd been coding like since I was like 14, like in middle
Oh,
school I
damn.
started. And I even like made like a website
That's
back then. But then like in high school I like started up my business a little bit, like making websites for local businesses. So yeah, on the side I did that, and then I like kind of focused on my like courses in high school as well, so
That's
I
wild.
could get like good grades.
So are you like 18 or 19 now?
I'm 18.
Nice.
I turned 18 in September.
That's crazy. So you're still young. You
So
still. So yeah, I like how. So your resume, you have it at the top. You have. Can I click in your portfolio or no?
yeah, go for it.
All right. Because this portfolio is nice. So how did you build this portfolio? Is this just straight HTML CSS?
It's like 3JS. So like if
Oh,
you
nice.
like go to the computer, you can like even like interact with it. It's like a 3D model. Like if you like click on the computer,
Which computer? Here?
like the one at the
Oh
very
my
top.
god, that's
like
crazy. Yeah. This
so
one?
these are just like 3D models I got from like I don't remember what it's called, like something like 3D Auto Labs or something, where I picked up a bunch of models, like even like the planet at the bottom.
Yeah, I like
That's
this.
just like that's just a 3D model that just like spins forever.
Yeah, no, I saw. I was playing around this earlier. I like your website. I think it's pretty underrated for like I feel like people think that having a portfolio doesn't really help that much. But honestly for me, especially if I was hiring for things like a startup, when I need to know that this person can code, I need to see examples quickly that they can code, and a portfolio
Yeah,
website
fair.
like this is really helpful. Especially if I know you built this with just straight up those languages that you're talking about
Right.
and not using like Wix or something. That would be like, this guy's good. Because yeah, so you did free.
But I haven't
Go ahead.
gotten any interviews yet. Like I've started applying like this past week through like my school portal.
Yeah.
But like so far, like I don't know if it like usually takes quite long for them to reply back.
Are you trying to get into Fang?
No. Like right now, I'm just trying to get into anything just because I'm like a freshman.
I
Like
see.
and like also with Fang, I heard like you need to be like leak coding a lot, learn like a lot of data structures and algorithms.
Yeah.
So right now, like on the side of like university, I'm like learning data structures and algorithms, like just on a YouTube video.
Nice.
Just so I can like prepare myself, because I think those courses are in like second year. So
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I like for your what you have right now as a first year student, you've only been in school for one semester, right?
yeah,
This is
yeah.
really, really good because you show that you know how to code and you know how to pretty much get stuff done. You have a bunch of different projects, right?
Right.
This is when I think of applying for jobs,
Mm-hmm.
this will definitely help you land interviews because a lot of people they struggle with landing the interview. I feel the
Mm-hmm.
best way to land interviews is definitely through networking, but also
Right.
doing projects.
Right.
Projects help pretty much put different technologies onto your resume, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
recruiters when they're looking for to hire people, they're looking at what technologies do they know. But I think with a new
Mm-hmm.
grad, it's a bit different.
Right.
But yeah, you have a ton of projects. This is crazy. But you focus a lot more on React, JavaScript. You like that stack a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
more?
pretty much. I did have some experience with like game development, but I didn't like really want to go into that industry just because I've heard like not the best stuff
What they're just
about
not
that.
paying people?
Yeah, like people getting exploited like by like you know BattleNet, right? Like the
Yeah.
people that made COD and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I see.
those people are getting like really bad pay and like super long hours. So I didn't want to like even get into that industry.
Yeah. So for if you're this is advice for when you're applying to fan companies or
Mm-hmm.
probably in your second or third year, fourth year, probably check up on you. And you'll probably be working in
Right.
Silicon Valley or something because your resume is good. But
Mm-hmm.
I would
Yeah,
say,
that's definitely my goal.
yeah, don't meet. I got y'all. I got all your resume reviews. Don't worry. But what I'm gonna say is, start up. When I was applying for jobs in Silicon Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Right.
graduating in, like, I wanted something for the summer. I would
Right.
start studying lead code in that summer and start
Oh,
applying
okay.
as early as September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when you get to January, February, a lot of these companies are gonna already
Mm-hmm.
have people in the pipeline or have started closing some of those roles.
For the summer?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
January. If you're doing January, February, and Caesar, correct me if I'm wrong, because Caesar in the chat also done a lot of these things.
Mhm.
Um,
My
pretty much.
school didn't even open up the job postings for summer like before January. It was only like January they recently released all the jobs.
And yeah, because those are local jobs, right? Those are
Oh,
those
I
are
see.
local jobs. But I'm telling you, for Silicon Valley, for fan
Oh, I
companies,
see.
start applying, start up throwing your resume as early as you can get it out there.
Okay.
You'll see new grad applications start coming out September, October, November,
Mhm.
and I remember by November, December, I was already interviewing for new grad roles at the time,
Right.
and if you're start applying in January or even February, sometimes that's too late, and I don't want you to be in the
Okay.
case when you start applying and you see a lot of the places are done hiring. I've seen that
Right.
happen, and it sucks.
Are you talking about like fan companies in Canada or in the US?
Fan companies in the U.S., fan company, or
Okay.
even unicorn companies and stuff like that. I think you should definitely try to go that route, especially
Okay,
you already
cool.
have a lot of good experience.
Do you think I could get it like right off the bat, or do you think I need like one or two more internships at maybe like a local company here in like Victoria and Vancouver?
I would shoot my shot at both. I think
Okay.
your resume, I would say, I've looked at resumes from people from top schools. Yeah, exactly what Caesar said. He's like, nah, he can get it right away. Caesar here also worked at a bunch of fan companies, so he knows
Oh, really? Okay,
he
cool.
knows what it takes too. And when I look at this resume is way better than mine. Even probably as a new grad, this is a good
Mhm.
this is a competitive new grad work experience.
Mhm.
So
Right. Would you say anything about like cover letters, like the importance of like cover letters?
cover letters,
Or-
fan companies will never ask you for cover letters. If you're applying locally in Victoria, they're gonna be asking you cover letters, but just use GPT for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've kind of like. I have like a master resume, and then I just put GPT through like each iteration of like a different company.
Yeah. But some companies actually care about cover letters, but
Okay.
the thing with applying is it's a numbers game. So you could
Hmm.
pretend you're applying for Facebook, who receives 1 million applicants, right? And you spend 2 days working on that or let's say you spend a week drafting the best cover letter
Right.
ever, and they never get to see that cover letter because 1 million other people
Yeah,
applied. It's a waste of
that's the
effort.
main thing. That's the main reason I even use AI, because I'm like, oh, I'm probably not even gonna get it.
Yeah, honestly, just keep applying.
Hmm.
Build your network. You
Right.
have a good foundation here. So let's walk
Hmm.
through your resume top to bottom. You have your sources here. I
Yeah.
feel like you could fit all of these into one line. These ones right here.
Would like a smaller font or
Or kind of if you pull the margins here. But I
yeah.
think that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So you get
Okay.
into your programming languages and libraries. That's good.
Right.
Tools and environments. Sometimes I like to see Visual Studio Code, Vercel, Android Studio. Yeah, this is also good as well. You show that you know. Do you know any SQL databases?
Like not like local databases that you're talking about where like you're using SQL where like you're writing like put this, do that.
Mm,
It's always like through like an ORM. Like I've used
nice.
SQL like Cloud SQL, but with I think it was like Planet Scale,
Hmm.
but I used like Prisma ORM on top, so
I
I
see.
wasn't like manipulating the SQL like
I see.
directly.
Yeah, but was the database a SQL database?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah, I would
It
add.
was like Planet Scale.
Yeah, I would add at least like one SQL database. Like if you know SQL, that's also
Hmm.
good to know. So thing
Right.
like MySQL, Postgres, those are good things to add on your resume if you worked on it before, because
Okay.
different companies it just expands the number of companies you could apply for. Some companies
Right.
use SQL, some use NoSQL, some use Mongo, some
Yeah.
use Postgres.
Hmm.
A lot of companies do use Postgres. I've seen that a lot, especially in the Valley, and
Hmm.
a lot of people do use MongoDB, DynamoDB. Those are so add those to just make your resume even stronger here. And people are saying add a backend language. Wait, do you know
Uh-huh.
Python? Oh, you don't.
Um, I think this is an older resume. I have been like recently learning Python, so I can like start lead coding with Python because I've heard like Python's the best to like learn data structures and algorithms with, just because of like the simplicity.
Yeah, yeah. That's one advice too. Is if you're gonna start doing algorithms and just straight start learning Python for it, because I've seen great candidates try to use Java
Hmm.
and still just there's way too much syntax that you need to
Right.
boilerplate that you need to add in order to get things done. It just slows you down. And companies like Facebook are gonna ask you two medium questions in the span of 45 minutes. So
Right.
you pretty much have 20 minutes to solve the question. You don't want to be dealing with types. You don't want to be dealing with
Yeah.
boilerplate.
Yeah.
You just want to get straight into coding.
Isn't like the person that's saying like you need like one backend language, wouldn't like JavaScript and Node.js be considered like backend? Would like if you have like Express, you could make like different APIs and
Yeah, it. I would.
okay.
So maybe we could break this. What I wouldn't. I don't know if I'll suggest this right away, but maybe we could. One thing. What I'm thinking is maybe experimenting it so it's easier to parse the programming
Right.
languages from the databases. Because I think with
Yeah.
mine, I have like these are the databases I know: Mongo, SQL. These
Mhm.
are the cloud providers I know: AWS, Google Cloud. These are the different
Right.
tools I know, like Visual Studio Code, and then languages aren't separate because you're kind of mixing them a little bit.
Right. Hmm.
So that's one thing would be these here, programming languages and tools are a bit mixed up. So
Right. Yeah.
maybe experiment with partitioning them in a way that will be easier for recruiters to parse out.
Okay.
But yeah,
So like creating like another section with just like libraries or frameworks.
let me quickly look at how I have mine. Honestly, I don't. Let me see. Well, I kind of just mixed mine up too. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. I think yours is good. What's Paul saying?
Okay.
If you want to be a web dev, that's fine. Depends on what you want. Yeah, I would throw Python in there. Okay, you have
Okay.
your
Yeah.
university degree. You should
Mhm.
add your expected time. You should add when you're gonna graduate, when you started, and when you're gonna
Okay.
graduate. That's important too.
The main reason, like, I did have a like an older resume that had that, but I heard that I was like watching. Do you know Sujad? Like this guy on Instagram. He's always talking about like fan companies and stuff.
No, maybe yeah.
But like there was a TikTok I saw where he was like, oh, like especially if like you're a freshman or like you're a younger student, you should like not write your graduation date just because like oh they'll see like oh you're graduating in 4 years, you're a freshman, so they'll have like a lower chance to like even get you on the interview.
Yeah, that might make sense. Yeah, freshman ones are really hard to get out, but I think yeah, I don't know. I think your second year and third year you're gonna be good for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's Marty saying? You can get rid of the high school. Yeah, I mean, I think your high school is good because it shows you're a valedictorian, and that's kind of
Yeah,
important.
that was the main thing.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't do anything in high school, so I'm just delete that thing as soon as possible. But you kind of have something to keep it there for.
Hmm.
So I would just keep it till for a bit, and then maybe, yeah, what Madi's saying. But maybe at some point you can just have like a leadership and awards section, because
Yeah.
I'm sure when you start working or the longer you progress in your studies, you're gonna do more leadership things and get
Right.
more awards. Maybe you'll join different clubs. Maybe you'll win some competitions, and having a section for that is also good as well because
Okay.
it shows you're doing some things outside of it, so it helps
Right.
supplement some of your education stuff. But yeah,
Okay. Cool.
cool. That's the education part. You have a nice website. You have your LinkedIn presence. That's good. You're building up your LinkedIn. You have your GitHub there. That's good as well.
Yeah.
So let's get into the work experience. So I honestly quit doing after high school, so I removed high school. But okay, full stack developer and founder. So this is your own company, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So you developed freelance custom web development projects from scratch with React and Tailwind CSS for local business. I like that. Because I think React and Tailwind CSS are really hot right now, especially Tailwind CSS.
Yeah.
So knowing that you know that is good. Achieved over 500K cumulative views across all projects. I like this because it shows a lot of results that you've driven and metrics. So instead of just saying, oh, I had a lot of people look at my website and a lot of people pay me, you're literally saying this is exactly how much people viewed my website and this is exactly how much money I generated from my projects. I think that's really good. Increased performance of website load times, responsiveness, and SEO. How fast did you increase the website load times? Is there any quantitative measures that you calculated there?
It was mainly like just the fact that I was using Next.js that it like provides like dynamic image features, so it just like intuitively just makes the website faster once you have those options.
Yeah.
So I never like really measured
I see.
that, but I just wanted to highlight like, oh, I'm using like the latest technology like Next.js to like optimize for these types of things.
I see. Yeah. This chat saying you're cracked, man. Are you on the stream?
Let me join in.
Yeah, but the fact that you already know Next.js and all that stuff is just nuts. For first year student, you're gonna do some big things, bro. We're gonna keep up. What else here? Pody, what's up? Oh yeah, you're the one on here.
Oh, that's me.
I didn't know React is a freshman. This guy's on Next.js. When did you learn React?
Like actually, like 3 years ago, I think.
Wow.
I think I should have spent more time with just like vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript just to like get the core fundamentals because I feel like I did like kind of skip a lot just going straight to React. So I only like did just JavaScript for like
I
a
see.
little bit.
Yeah. When I teach people, like I taught a couple friends React, and I first started them with just building a portfolio website with just raw HTML, CSS.
Right.
And then when I switch them over to React, then they just get so much appreciation for React.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing. When I first did it, yeah, I think, but that doesn't mean you can't get that. You can't do that. You can still build a raw HTML and CSS website on the side,
Yeah.
and then convert it to React. That's something you could probably do real quick and just see the difference. And even learning things like, shoot, I already forgot that other framework that was coming before React.
Angular.
No, it's even older than that. You modify the DOM.
jQuery?
Yeah, jQuery. So you already know all the concepts, man. But jQuery, I even did that before I did React, just to see what it's like, and then I did React. But it's nice to try out all these different ones and know about it. But you will never really touch jQuery these days. Caesar's
Yeah,
like, bruh,
yeah.
what's wrong with this guy? Okay. Stored product data, appointment bookings, purchase order fulfillments, and client with Node.js and MongoDB backend interface.
Mhm.
That's good. So did you use Express as your backend here?
No, I just use like the direct Next.js API routes
Okay,
inside,
I see. So
like using the app router.
how are you hosting your Next.js application?
Usually through Vercel
I see.
or Next.js, but I do want to like learn AWS just to like, because a lot of companies like write in their qualifications like, oh, you know, if you know AWS, like that's a good to have.
Yeah. And then for every we have 29 people joining or in here right now. If you are just joining, this is a first year student. All right, let's get back into it. So, yeah, I think we all say like all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true.
Bro, Paul, go watch Mark Zuckerberg's interview with Joe Rogan. He said like 7 times in the span of 2 sentences. So I don't know. I think that guy was just talking trash. That guy on one of my comments.
Yeah,
But
I'm not saying like any more time in this video.
okay, let's see. If you know Next.js, you're in demand in the market. I'm full stack, I guess, but most of my front end. Okay. What else? What do we got? Coding instructor. Okay, I think we went through your resume. Do you have any things that you want to ask me?
Um, like, what's the best way I can improve my chance of getting hired this summer? Would
This
you
summer,
say?
okay. I think you're definitely applying early. You're having people look at your resume, which is good. You're getting
Mhm.
advice. I mean, I'm not a recruiter or anything, so I'm just giving just advice from seeing a lot of different resumes, and I'm trying to also crowdsource it from this chat. Give advice. Drop it in the chat right now. But
Someone says leak code.
leak. But if you're applying for only local companies, they're not gonna ask you.
Mhm.
They're only gonna ask you basic leak code questions. Somebody just said system design as a freshman. That's crazy. I've never interviewed at a local company where they asked me a lead code question that
Mhm.
wasn't harder than a easy question.
Even the local jobs that are opening up here in Victoria, they're also getting like hundreds of applications.
And they're asking lead
So
code?
they're not asking leak code. I'm just saying that the competition's still quite
Yeah.
fierce for the local opportunities.
Yeah, but you have so much things to speak about. You can speak about all the different projects that you've worked on. So, what I would do is start listing out all of the projects that you've worked on.
Hmm.
And then let me bring it up on the other side. Let me see what I do. Wait one sec. Let me check my stream. So one thing, start listing out a few of the different projects that you had.
Okay.
And yes, sir, we are in Canada. Or I'm from Canada, but not there right now. But essentially, start listing all the questions or all the projects that you have, and be prepared to talk about the different points of your project. I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
exactly what to think about when you're figuring out the different things about your projects. I'm just pulling out a different thing because these are my personal notes.
Also, I was wondering, when do people usually hear like people calling back after you've applied for an internship?
I mean, it depends. You might never hear back for some companies, but I would just say it's a numbers game. Literally apply to as many companies as you possibly can.
Oh, I meant like the average like time, like a week to a month to like 2 months.
Dude, I've been like reached out after 5 months.
Oh, really?
So for Bloomberg, I remember I applied probably in the summer, and then probably in January they reached out, or Christmas they reached out to me, like 4 months.
Okay.
Different companies, some are really fast, some are really long. It all depends. Yeah. I was probably like at the bottom of the barrel. They probably interviewed a bunch of kids and they're like, these kids suck. And then they moved on to me. I was like the second round. Or they took all the people that couldn't pass it. And then, but. So, okay, if I ask you about a specific project,
Mm-hmm.
this is a bit more specific to like when you work at a company, but a lot of times they'll be like,
Right.
who did you work on the project with? So for some of these projects, who did you work on the project with? And that's kind of important because they want to see how you collaborate. So if I ask you that for your company here, who did you work on the project with?
Like for the full stack developer experience
Yeah.
or the projects itself?
For your full stack developer experience.
I mainly just worked individually for these
Okay.
projects, just because I was like individually reaching out to like local businesses on like Facebook or just like through like social media and just asking, oh, do you guys need a website? And then just getting traffic that way. So I never really needed anybody else.
Weird nit, but maybe change kids to students. Where did I say kids? Did I say the word kids or oh he's saying in your
Oh,
thing.
taught over 125 students.
I mean, yeah, that may be. See, the chat always giving some good stuff. Okay, so now we're talking about your project. I know you worked on it by yourself. Then I'm going to ask you the question: how was this project built? What were the technologies that you used to build this project? And you already mentioned it, right? You used React, Tailwind, CSS. So if I wanted to dig deeper, I'm going to ask you: why did you choose Tailwind, CSS, and React for these projects?
I would say just because like the reusable components with React, they just make the workflow that much easier.
Hmm.
And the reason to choose Tailwind was just because not only does it have like base plate styles, but it just makes like styling with CSS way much easier. Like just writing class names instead of like going to a different file, like attaching it and then saying like add this media query, do this, do this. It just the Tailwind CSS workflow just it's a lot easier.
Yeah. See, that's a very good answer. I would just write out the projects, figure out the different technologies that I use, and then write down why I use those technologies and what are the benefits of using those technologies. And then I'll ask you, did you consider any other tech stacks for that project?
For the note taking one.
Or yeah, you decide to go with React and Tailwind. Did you consider any other technologies? And if you did, why did you decide to not use those? Because now what I'm trying to get a sense, these are kind of things people
Right.
ask in interviews, right? Because now they're getting, because a lot of times everything's a trade-off, right?
Right.
You're gonna use React, or you're gonna just use raw HTML. I mean, you're gonna use Angular, or you're gonna use Express, or you're gonna use Python, Django. All of these have trade-offs. So especially when you get more experience, I'll be asking you questions, and I'm gonna try to see if you looked at other approaches, and if you
Okay.
made like a real if you thought about it when you made your decision, right?
Right.
So let's get back to that question. Did you consider any other technologies when you're building out these projects?
I'd say initially I was considering just using vanilla HTML CSS with like a separated Node.js Express server. However, having the AI stream like data when like you ask for an autocorrect, that workflow was just like it was too separated having to call an API from a completely different server. So using Next.js, I could have my front end in a specific app router and have my APIs in the same project. And it just made like integrating the open AI APIs way more easier, I'd say.
Nice.
And then what else? I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's already
I
good
still need
response.
to practice
Yeah.
up on my interview skills.
So yeah, these are really good response, and yeah, this everyone's already super impressed in the chat. But that's one thing I would do, and do this before you forget what you did, because a lot of people do this as well. They spend like 4 or 5 years at a company and they never write down any of the projects that they worked on. They never think through these different steps. They don't think about
Right.
who they worked on a project with, why that project was prioritized in the first place, how was that project built. So,
Okay.
and then they go switch jobs and they don't remember anything about their project. So write down all this stuff like while it's still fresh in
Okay.
your head. That's one advice that I would do. And
Okay.
yeah, when I started my job, every single quarter, every project that I did, I'm writing down what I did, who I worked on project with, what was the business impact, what are the different metrics. And
Okay.
so let's get into this last part. You told me a bit about the project you did at a high level, all the different technologies that you used. You explained other alternatives that you considered and the trade-offs, which was great because you showed that you understand why using something like React is more favorable than just using vanilla JavaScript or vanilla JavaScript and HTML. That makes sense. So now I can understand that you're not just using these languages because someone told you to, or that
Right.
yeah, you have a deeper understanding of that. So then
Okay.
the final thing that a lot of people ask you is, what were the outcomes of this project? What were the results that happened?
Like specifically the functionality, or like the broader, like how it affected like people.
Pretty much, I would say more on what were the out. Well, when it comes to when you're working in industry, it would be like, what was the business impact usually, right? But I guess
Okay.
for these are personal projects, what was the results of the project? Maybe did you just was it, oh, I just learned. It could be as simple as I learned a lot of new technologies, or in your case, you actually generated $2,000 in revenue.
Right. Oh, are you talking about the? Sorry, I thought you were talking about the AI autocomplete note taker.
Oh no, I'm just talking about in all your projects in general, you want to be able to talk about the outcomes of that project. What did you accomplish
Okay.
with that project?
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Um.
yeah, go ahead.
So for the websites I made for local businesses, those specific websites help those businesses to gain like an audience they wouldn't traditionally gain from just like local what would you call it, like local outsourcing, like outreaching, I mean.
Yeah.
So by having this website, they have this like complete online presence, which allows way more customers to pop up and ask for their services. So I feel like that was the most major impact on their businesses. Um,
Yeah. See, or go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
you
Keep
can
going.
go
Keep
ahead.
keep going. Keep going.
I'm kind of blanking out.
Okay, if you're blanking out, I think this is just more I'm interested in, but a lot of people interviewing you might also have the same thing during project
Okay.
deep dives. But if you had to do these projects differently, what would you do?
Um, specifically for the websites, I feel like I would have started using Tailwind CSS and React more sooner, because initially the first projects I did were just with HTML and CSS, and those technologies like took a lot longer to develop. Another thing I'd say is to maybe encourage the client to have like more functionalities in their website. So maybe, for example, if it was like a construction company, I could like maybe convince them for the same price to maybe have some like back-end functionalities where they can have like a career page where people can like apply for jobs for their company. And that way, not only am I getting more experience, but my clients feel like this business is like doing a lot for me for such a small price, so they'd like be more willing to recommend me
Yeah.
to other businesses.
Nice. Yeah, these are great responses. The one thing I would just do to prepare for the interviews is just have them written down. I have a doc where I would literally write down every single project that I've worked on, and then I would start off with a high level overview of that project, and then pretty much I'd go through all the bullet things that we've went through here. What was the tech stack? Why did we use that tech stack over others? What was the approach? Why did we use that approach? Other alternatives, and then yeah, getting into how we did, how exactly we executed it, and then finally the results, or making sure everything is results oriented is really important, I think, in this current economy. Everybody wants to just know what results are you able to drive. That's what really impressed me
Right.
about your resume is you show the results here, which is generating. So do you want to work at a fan company? Like, what's kind of your goals for the next four? You just turned 18. The world is your oyster, man. Like, you've already know how to code. You just need to don't let your talent go to waste.
Okay.
So yeah.
For sure. Right now, I'm just trying to get any opportunity I can get, just to even like put my step into the tech world. Because I feel like right now, a lot of my experience is like either like freelancing or like the coding instructor, which isn't really like that much like involved in tech.
Mhm.
So I feel like just getting an exposure with like one single company, like learning like people say like culture values or something.
Yeah.
So like getting used to that, then I feel like I'd be at a higher level where I like can judge specific positions and know
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah. But let's think 10 years ahead. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And let's work backwards because that makes sense.
Honestly,
Yeah, go ahead.
in 10 years, I do want to like get good exposure in the tech field, but like 10 years in the future, I do want to focus on like my own projects and even like starting my own startup.
Yeah.
Like thinking of like good ideas that I can maybe like make money on.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. You're already entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You're already entrepreneur. You've already doing things outside of it. So, do you want to stay in Canada or move somewhere to the Bay Area or something like that?
That I like moving to the Bay Area does like that is kind of one of my fantasies to like go in Silicon Valley, work there.
Mm-hmm.
If I was given the opportunity, I would definitely do it. But I don't know like if I'm in like the current situation where I could like be having those types of expectations just because I don't have that much experience yet.
You're gonna it's only your time is coming. It's just I would just make sure I do things to set myself up for success there. So for example,
Right.
if my goal was to break into Silicon Valley as soon as I get a new grad, you know that these companies are asking lead code style questions. Also, he
Right.
said, "Oh, lead code hard is asking if you're in the co-op program at UVic."
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
That's how I'm mainly applying for internships.
Why are you saying that lead code hard? Is that gonna help a lot with getting the jobs? I'm not too familiar with the co-op program. I only really familiar with the Waterloo co-op program, which is take 8 internships before you graduate. I don't. What's the co-op program for you? Oh, it's the same thing where you have to take like 8 internships.
For ours it's just 4 month long
Bro,
internships.
in order to graduate, you need to take 4. That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah,
you're good,
yeah.
man. You're good. You're gonna get. And do they help you or no?
Well, it depends on what you do. Well, there's a lot of local positions, but there's also like positions for like Amazon. I think Amazon's kind of one of the biggest here in
Yeah,
Vancouver.
you're gonna break in. So let's just get into the last part, and then we'll go into someone else's interview. But
Yeah, for sure.
do
I
you
don't
need
wanna
any?
be taking up
Do you
too
need
much time.
any? No, it's fine. Like we got through a lot. I wanted to bring you on here just to talk about all this stuff. I think this is useful
Yeah,
stuff
for
for
sure.
pretty much everyone to see, because I also get a lot of people who tell me they really like these resume reviews because then they get to take good parts out of what people are doing and try to apply it to their life, and it
Right.
motivates a lot of people. So I think this is an important thing to do, and it also gives you a bit of visibility as well if you want to like
Right.
share your LinkedIn or
course.
whatever. But also,
Yeah, for sure. If anybody's watching, go hit up the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Add me up.
this people like the resume. So how do you have any questions about how to start preparing for lead code?
Well,
Okay,
I
wait.
don't really
We
have
got
any
we got
questions,
one.
but-
We got one. Sorry, I had to cut you off, but we have lead code hard is giving a tiny nit, but I agree it actually makes sense. You're indenting this twice, while the other bullet points are indented once.
Oh, that's actually a really good point.
Okay. Any questions about lead code that me and the chat can help you out with? I know there's a couple cracked kids on the chat.
Honestly, I don't have any specific questions, but if you have any specific tips about leak code and how that can help me land an internship, you can share those.
Yeah, but because you have a resume right now that's gonna probably land you an interview. But once you get the interview, if you can't pass the coding interview, and as stupid as it sounds, and probably lots of people hate doing lead code, complain. I've had people in the chat telling me that lead code is dumb earlier. But no matter what, these companies are asking lead code questions in order for you to get a job. No matter how good you are, if they tell you to reverse a linked list and you can't reverse it, and that's part of the criteria in order to get a job, they're gonna reject you. So I would just start studying lead code. Probably start with like the blind 75 list. Are you familiar with the blind 75 list?
Not really.
Okay. No. I'll send you this list.
Okay, thank you.
And here, I'll send you I'll show you're on the stream, right? You can see when I cut out something over here.
Yeah.
This is a blind 75 list, which pretty much these are the most common. I'm gonna move this, and anyone on the chat, if you have other tips, let me know. But I think blind 75, maybe don't even get into this, right? But yeah, this guy's saying blind 70. Probably I would say learn the basic fundamentals first. Learn basic data structures like arrays, stacks, queues, linked list, all those super basic things, right? Those are basic. Or go ahead.
Yeah, I'm currently actually doing a Python data structures course on YouTube.
Yeah.
So like so far, I think I've gone through like linked lists and hash maps.
Exactly.
So I'm like gonna fully go through that course, and then I'll like jump into lead code.
Exactly. So that's one of like, don't just start doing all these, because if you try to do two-sum and you've never heard of a hash map before, it defeats the purpose of doing this question. I mean, you could do this. I would mix practice in with theory. So theory, I have a video on how to get good at lead code. I'll send you. But a lot of
for sure, I'll check it out.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. What lead code hard is saying is you should mix practice in with theory. So instead of just reading up on hash maps, linked list, stacks, queues, all of that before you ever do a lead code question, learn a hash map, then try to do a hash map question like two-sum. Learn how arrays work, and then do something simple like contains duplicate, right? So you're mixing practice in with theory. Otherwise, you'll be in tutorial hell where you're just doing everything just watching a bunch of some kid said, what does cracked mean? But somebody look it up on Urban Dictionary, Markel. But essentially, what else? Yeah, learn the fundamentals, then hop into blind 75. So this blind 75 list, I'm going to send it to you over. It has all these are the most 75 common questions that are asked in an interview. And also NeetCode 150 is apparently good too. I haven't really used NeetCode as a resource, but I think I don't really use YouTube as a resource to get better at algos, which kind of sounds funny because I have a YouTube channel on algos, but a lot of times I'll literally just read books, because Cracking the Coding Interview is a good book, and elements of I'll send you all these resources, but start doing lead code early, and it will help you with your classes as well, and just keep doing your thing, bro. Like, good job.
Right.
Cool. All right, nice having you. That's a great resume review. All right.
Yeah.
Good luck. For the tips. Keep in touch. All right. I'll see you later.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Thank you.
All right. Who's promoting other YouTubers on my channel? I'm just kidding. Okay. Shadi, you want to jump on the voice call? I'd rather do it on voice call. But I can just review your thing too. Yeah, hop on the thing.
Hello?
What's up? Sorry if I'm messing up your name. How do you pronounce it? Shadi. What's up? How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You sent over your resume, right? And it's fully anonymized, or it's not? It's not.
I mean, I just blanked out my Gmail.
Sure.
But everything else I'm fine if other people see. I have an online presence, so like I don't necessarily I'm not too shy about it.
Okay, and just quickly give a brief for the chat. give a brief introduction on yourself and, I mean, what
Okay.
what jobs are you looking for and stuff like that?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So I'm a second year software engineering at McMaster University. It's a Canadian university.
Nice.
And I'm mainly looking for like software engineering PM roles. I'm really into design. So like I have, I don't know, I have probably more hours on Figma than I do in actually developing some websites, but I like to be around the stack a lot. So you'll find that maybe after you look at my website that I do a good amount of like case studies on the projects that at least I display.
Nice.
And I commit a lot on GitHub. So that's kind of like more about me, but yeah, I'm mainly looking for like design related roles.
No, that's really good. I think I'm echoing a little bit, but you're a second year student. Are you based in the US or Canada?
I'm based in Canada.
Nice. All the Canadians are, I'm Canadian myself, and the last person that came in here was from Victoria, so lots of Canadians.
I just wanted to mention that last person reminded me a lot about myself.
That,
Like that. You'll see like the same like founder of like a web development.
I love that.
agency.
Okay, where did you send it? Y'all, these Canadians
yeah.
have the best resumes that I've seen so far. How did the two Canadians have the best resumes? And I've been reviewing all types of resumes. Okay, you said
It
you're the
should
one,
be-
the sophomore, 940?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm popping this open. I'm requesting access. Y'all ready for this guy's resume? Canadians are built different.
Okay, you should be in.
Who's on the line? Markel's asking who on the line is. Okay, let me download this real quick. Downloading it so we can properly show it up. So you're a second year student. You're looking for PM roles.
Yeah.
Wow, this is already looking really good. The Canadian job market forcing them to be built different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay, nice resume. I'm already liking. I'm liking it. Did you use LaTeX?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Over text.
Okay. So Hamilton, Ontario. Have your name there. Really strong GPA. It's talking about your selected courses, your education. So selected coursework: algorithms, computer science, data structures. You're in your second year. You already took in these courses.
Well, I'm taking data structures right now. OOP I took last semester. Operating systems I have like a little bit of background in, but computer architecture I've also taken last semester. The thing is with like DSA, I've been doing DSA probably since like first year. So like I have like not a super crazy background to it, but I think it's strong enough that when like I'm practicing for my interviews, I'm not like afraid of DSA, and I do like mock interviews with my friends.
Nice, dude. You're a legend. You're setting yourself up for success. Honestly, when I was in, is sophomore second year or third year?
Second year.
In second year, I was not even thinking about that. So the fact that you're already thinking about that, you're gonna be able to crack into. What are your goals? Do you want to work in the Bay Area? Do you want to stay in Canada? Do you want to be a more software engineer? Do you want to start your own company? Just curious.
Yeah. So, good question. I have been down to San Francisco before. I visited last summer for this program called Build Space. So I was in the Marina District, and it was an amazing experience. It really kind of like brought me more towards moving to the States, which I already wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's my goal, is to kind of like move down there, at least to work for a startup to learn, or at the very least, you know, if I make enough headway in my future, then move down there to be able to actually have my own startup down there.
Wow. We have we have two people who came in and they want to start their own startup in the Bay Area. That is crazy. I mean, you're setting yourself up for success. I'm actually getting really motivated just watching y'all. Like, how young are you? 19, 20?
19. Yeah.
Wow. That's actually crazy. Okay, let's just... And you could ask me anything, because I did that too. When I graduated, I moved down here. So if you want to ask questions on pretty much my journey too, and
So-
if you need any advice on that. But let's focus on your resume quick, and probably at the end, if you want to get any advice on that specific stuff, we can handle that. But
Okay. I'll do it.
Cool. You're a product manager intern. This is okay. Deployed a scalable education platform and content management system using AWS, EC2, Kubernetes, Docker, and reducing setup time with a team of 5 to optimize backend architecture. I would say this is a really good bullet point because it's results oriented and you highlight a bunch of the different metrics and things, but you almost mix in 2 different bullet points into one. Because
Right.
I thought it would end here, but then it mentioned while collaborating with a team of 5 to optimize the backend architecture. That could probably be a whole different bullet point of optimized the backend architecture with the team of 5 to drive X results, something like that. Joshua, I'll send me your resume as well. Adam's like imposter syndrome max right now. Honestly, when you see people who are doing really crazy things, especially first year, second year, even when you're looking at ultra successful people, I have a video on this as well, but don't compare yourself to take what you can learn from these people and use it as fuel for what you have going on, and only compare yourself to where you were a year ago. That's kind of how I do it, because when you move to the Bay Area as well, you're gonna see people doing so much crazy things, and if you use it in the wrong way, it will just more hinder you than help you grow. And I think that's kind of a shame, because when you see people like Shadi here who has all this great experience, you should try to figure out how you could do some of these things or pick things from the different projects that he's worked on as well, and see how that you can use that as well. This is it's just helpful to look at that way. But let's look at your website. I actually want to get into that first, actually. Can you walk me through your website?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's really like I made it in HTML, CSS,
Nice.
little bit JavaScript, and yeah, it's just like this is my second or I think third iteration of this website. I think I have my first iteration at the bottom
Wow.
of the website, and
This is
I just
nice.
redesigned what the current what the old version of it looks like. So now I find that it's better to make this as simple as possible, because having I used to have a blog on my website too. I
Nice.
removed that because I find that when employers or recruiters want to visit what I'm doing, I just want them to see my work and my design, and then find whatever they're interested in looking at more, and then just go down that path.
I see. And you hosted this one on GitHub too, I see.
Yeah,
Nice. So just raw HTML and CSS. for
that
this?
was the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's still, for raw HTML and CSS, it's dynamic enough. It looks really good. So let's see. So you have these are all the different projects you have, and these include school projects, or some of them are some other ventures that you had outside of school?
The older ones, I have them listed down as McMaster. So my university name is branded kind of on the banner,
Mhm.
and those ones are my school projects. But other than that, I usually specify either it was a startup, or if it's unnamed, then it's just a project I worked on.
Nice. Okay, cool. This is a really nice website, and as I mentioned before, and I'll mention this again, that I think portfolio websites can really help you get a job. If you're out there right now and you don't have a portfolio website, what I did when I was a new grad is I just built. I was in the middle of school. I didn't have time to build my own website, and plus, I don't even know if I could have built as good as a website as you right here. This is already really a nice website, especially for a second year. But if you can't have time to build your website, just use Wix or something to build your website. Obviously, I would prefer to have just built it myself, because you learn so much concepts by doing this. But yeah, this is a really good. What technologies did you use to build this website?
Yeah, so I initially started off with just pure HTML and CSS, and then after a while, after creating a few more projects later down the line, I started to really love Tailwind. So I recreated this. When I went back to go recreate it, I used Tailwind CSS,
Nice.
with HTML to do it.
Nice. This is beautiful. Are you familiar with JavaScript, or other JavaScript
Yeah,
frameworks like React?
I've gotten more acquainted to sort of like more JavaScript frameworks that are used to build websites, like React and Svelte. I used Svelte in one of the projects listed on my resume because I wanted to kind of test out, see what all the hype was about. But now I've been kind of leaning more in towards like the T3 stack using like Next.js and React.
Nice. This is crazy for a second year resume. So, Vercel, TypeScript, JavaScript. Nice. Cool. And okay, let's look quickly here. Where are your programming languages listed? Oh, down here.
They're
Okay.
at the bottom, at the bottom.
See, this is nice. I think I like the way you did it here, because the other candidate kind of had everything kind of bundled. But I think this is what I was thinking when I was giving the advice of kind of partitioning it better. So you have all your languages at the top, then different frameworks like React, Vercel, Django, Express, then different developer tools like Git, Firebase, AWS, and then finally different specific libraries like 3JS, Bootstrap. This is really good resume. I think. Why did you keep it at the bottom?
Yeah, so the way that this is kind of sorted is based off. You actually mentioned this in like another video. It was like Google kind of like template for how a resume should be sorted.
Yeah.
And since I'm still in school, although like I would say like I do have some industry experience, I don't think I have enough to like put my skills at the top. I would much rather them look at me as a student in this context because I feel like it would. No, I mean relative to like other students, I would say it's nice to have the experience there and then look at my projects.
Yeah, I agree. No, this is really good. I was just wondering if maybe we can take the technical skills and throw it at the top. So technical skills, education, then experience, because then they just see right away that what you know. I would just experiment it. I think Google might have said to keep it at the top. I would look at, but what I do in my resume is I put mine at the very top. What do others do in the chat? I put mine at the very top because as a recruiter, yeah, my people are saying top. One said bottom. So yeah, a bunch of people are saying top. Okay, Liko Hart said bottom. I don't know. I actually don't know about this one. Tech skills. I usually throw it at the top. Yeah. Okay, one person said PHP is not a library, so move it out. That makes sense. Yeah, PHP would be more like a language, I would say. Cool. No, this is a solid resume. What's your favorite project that you've worked on?
Definitely would have to be HLDR because that one was it was like a double project. It's like open source right now, and it had two major iterations. The first one, I made that project kind of the precursor to is like I think like junior devs get crushed because they rely too much on GPT, and there's really nothing that kind of puts a barrier between them and instantly prompting. So I thought that like I should make something that kind of reduces that reliance. So I built HLDR initially with like GitHub code spaces, and I realized really fast that no one was using it. Because like I looked at like my backend like server and I saw that there was like no requests going to it. And so then I decided, you know what, I should probably remake this and then might as well just open source it because I had already had such like a long project timeline for it. And on the second iteration, it's more like what it is described as, which is like an open source AI driven code mentor. So it sits in like VS Code, which I used like NeoVim and Vim, but VS Code is more popular.
Second year using NeoVim and Vim. W's in the chat. Throw W's in the chat. That's crazy. Only a lot of the most experienced people use Neo. I don't even really use NeoVim in chat. But continue. Sorry, I had to cut you off because NeoVim is a big buzzword right now.
Yeah, so like it's like an extension. You can install it in VS Code, and it just sits and it waits for when you save a file and gives you like reviews. It's really useful in my opinion for like DSA because it'll like let you know if you're using a less optimized solution.
Nice. No, this is a really good resume. I think developed definitely. I think just adding some more results here, development. I think no, I think it's fine because you're also talking about this is very results oriented here because you're driving revenue.
Yeah.
No, this is really how much AI do you use these days? I'm just curious because you're one of the new age engineers.
Yeah. So I would say for example, I'll tell you like right now, for that PM role, I'm working on like organizing files, for example. And because I also have studies, I find that AI is really useless for anything that you don't spend a lot of time prompting it with. Like if you don't, and I know this is kind of like a funny word, but if you don't like engineer the prompt, it's incredibly useless as your project gets more complex. And as soon as you start throwing in like file paths into the mix, it has no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So I would say that like maybe in the week, I probably like other than school for sure, I probably use it like for development maybe 2 or 3 times. And it's most of the time it's because I want to see if there's like better technologies out there or like better packages that could maybe like expedite how fast I'm approaching a project.
Wow.
But I end up having to learn the hard way regardless.
What's happening here, Hashan? Or that's crazy. So you mentioned you did case studies. Could you walk me through where that one of those is? I'm curious now on that.
Yeah, you can just click right on HLDR V2.
Oh. Wait, HLDR. Dude, I like this. So you talk about the timeline. You talk about the tools because this is really good because like I remember I mentioned to that other guy to list out a bunch of the different things related to his project. You're doing literally just that. This might be the best portfolio website that I've seen in a while, Sissy. So overview. RightQ is saying they're scared. Like I said, don't compare yourself. Look at what he's doing and adopt. An AI-driven coding mentor designed to enhance programming skills by providing guidance without directly supplying answers. So you built this integrated straight into your terminal. It reduces the back and forth of utilizing. So you lead code crack. Can you review the resume? So we have lead code hard in this chat and lead code cracked. What's going on? This is hilarious. So you have you don't use the API. You kind of are running the model locally on your computer here.
So you're looking at the V1 version of HLDR. There's the V2 version, which is also on like the main page. Yeah. So just at the top left. That's the. Yeah.
This is really good.
So it's like I still have the same overview of it because it's accomplishing the same thing.
Yeah.
But right now, what happens is like on save of a file, it sends the request. Like I have a debounce function so that it doesn't just like completely
spam
like bunch of requests.
Yeah.
But right now I use like Gemini API's completions to do it.
Dude, I'm gonna check out this. So what it does is it helps you. So it's pretty much you're gonna be solving a lead code question or algorithm question. It's gonna be giving you advice, but basically it's like an interviewer giving you hints on your on your algorithm without giving you the result. Wow, no, that's actually very, very useful. That's actually very, very useful. No, I'm gonna try this out at some point. I'll try it out for one of my videos and give you a. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try using it live on one of my videos. This is really good.
I appreciate it.
So you're talking about the origin, the implementation, all the different features. This is crazy. So let me grab my other notes. Or so you decided to use this tech stack or these different tools. Did you consider other alternatives to these tools and technologies?
Yeah, for sure. So initially, I'll kind of walk through the kind of timeline of this project. Initially, I didn't even want to take this to a full-fledged VS Code extension for a couple reasons. you have to you have to abide by VS Code Marketplace in the first place, which is a whole other process in and of itself. And you have to kind of set up your packages so that it's lightweight, and then also you have to kind of sift through all your code, make sure there's nothing more than what needs to be deployed. And at the initial kind of initial point of this project, the V1 version, I just didn't find that was worth releasing. I kind of wanted to just kind of finish this up, get it wrapped up, drop the LinkedIn post, and move on with my life. But then I thought, in this last winter break, that it would be nice to go back to the project and give it a revamp. So to answer your question, this didn't start off as a VS Code extension. It started off as something that you could boot up with GitHub Codespaces and then edit in there. And I realized that over time, not only myself, I found it difficult to separate my own developed environment, which is just VS Code. I already have it configured with all my extensions, and I would have to separate that to just use this extension. So I thought that making this a little bit, adding a few more layers to this with the VS Code extension would be not only better for the project, but also more useful for the end user.
Wow, no, that's really good. Did you consider other languages besides? So I'm assuming you use Python and Fast API for the backend. Did you consider any other technologies for the backend there?
Well, at the time, I'm most familiar with Python and utilizing Fast API with almost all my projects. I find that Fast API gets the job done for me, and I can usually write my best code with that.
Nice.
At the current moment, I haven't thought to introduce more backend related kind of programs or processes into my tech stack. And the main reason for that is because I find that although switching up is useful and altering my tech stack would be nice, right now I don't think Fast API is really out of market. And I find that I would rather develop harder, more complex projects with what I know than keep switching out my tech stack just to be the most popular, more favorable in the market, when I could make more complex stuff, more stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I see. So you're kind of trading off, okay, I'm going to work on this harder problem and use something I already know, but instead of, because if you were to switch up your language, then you can't work on that something much harder, because you have to learn the language too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Paul's like, if this guy can't land an how are you with getting a job? Somebody just asked in the chat, are you able to land interviews?
Yeah, so right now, I'll be completely transparent with the chat and you yourself. I have around three, 4 companies, mainly 3 right now, that I'm kind of been in talking with for some time. One of them would be a startup in my hometown, so in Hamilton, and that would be kind of working at the intersection of cybersecurity and AI. And the other would be in a startup in New York, which is the one I'm really gunning for right now. And that would be 16 months for a co-op, which
Whoa,
would probably
that's long.
months. And then the one in Hamilton would be 4 months, and the last one that I haven't mentioned yet would be at an international company I would be doing no code kind of solutions, just automation, and that would be for 12 months long.
Wow. No, I see. That's crazy. So how long did it take you to build out this website?
This website, I think this was I think this took me from design to implementation somewhere in the realm of 3 or 4 days.
Wow. That's crazy. So did you just grind it out or you just put 8-hour shift each days and this is what it came out with?
Yeah, well, the thing is because this was a previous website, and the technical case studies, I can't just GPT that and then toss it in there. I have to reformat it and make sure that everything is the way that I want it to be. That's what kind of drew it out to be more than just I don't know, a couple days at a time. But yeah, I think that over time what it was just every day I would take a different kind of project that I worked on, and then just start doing a case study for that. And I think as it stands, there's only good case studies for like HLDR V2 and then Kareem, which are the ones I have for my resume.
Nice. Cool. No, this is. Let's see. Are these mostly images?
So they're images, but like you can click on them. You can click
Yeah.
on all of them.
Yeah. The one thing that I was thinking is for SEO purposes. Sometimes it's nice to have the project name that's not part of the image, because I think
Yeah.
when I was looking here, it's hard to find what the name of the project was.
Gotcha.
But that's probably a nit because it looks good the way it is. But that's just one thing I would consider would be like the SEO or being able to figure out where the name of the project is. But when you do hover, it does show. No, this is thing lagged. Wait, give me a sec. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Kick me out of your website. See if the stream is still on. Okay. Yeah, this is a really good website. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. One question, and I kind of like, I've seen like some of your past videos where you kind of like suggest that people include links to their websites, to their projects.
Mhm.
And this version that I sent you is like an altered version where I heard sort of like an opposite opinion to that, which is once my resume kind of hits HR's desk by like a portal of some kind, the resumes that I have embedded in there aren't actually clickable by them. And sometimes they actually mess up like the ATS parsing.
Really?
And so I thought that like right now they're removed, but there used to be like an icon and it used to be like a clickable to go straight to that link. And I was just wondering, like, have you? Yeah, I know you're not like an HR person, you're not like a recruiter yourself, but have you ever heard of something like that?
Lico Hart saying that's not true. I've never heard of anything like that, but I have a cousin who recruits in the portal I've used. They work. Yeah, honestly, in all the portals that I used, a lot of the software is smart enough to pull out all the links and provide you all the links there. I've never seen that, and most of the time when I'm doing interviews, I'm looking at the raw resume. Whatever resume that you sent me, I'm looking at it through some PDF viewer. So if I'm using whatever, like Greenhouse or Lever, it shows me the resume that you submitted, the PDF, and I could usually just click it. So I've never seen that, I've heard that before. And RightQ says, I've heard recruiters say they hate bold words religiously. I don't know. I think I like bold word. I like when people bold words because it helps point out things for me to look at. But I'm also not a recruiter, so we'd have to get advice from a recruiter. You heard that from a recruiter? Sorry, you might have cut out.
Oh, sorry. The person that told me that was he was a founder of like a company. This was at a hackathon, a recent hackathon I went to.
I see.
And he told me that this was a change that I suggest that you make because he's looked and he's hired for his company a bunch. So that's what he's like. You said that from experience.
Okay, I'm gonna get a recruiter. I'm gonna get a recruiter on this thing ASAP to look at all these resumes. I'm gonna take some of the best ones and I'm gonna do a video when I'll have a recruiter. I know a few recruiters. And yeah, we can figure that out for you straight on a video. What about any questions? Thanks, AA. But what about any questions related to? You said you want to break into Silicon Valley. I'm sure you'll get there at some point. But is there any questions do you have specifically of Silicon Valley?
Yeah. I would say okay. So one question, and I'm gonna give a little context to where this is coming from. A little while ago, I think you released a video on like how you kind of broke into it.
Yeah.
And it was you mentioned like your Kleiner Perkins like OA or like how you kind of went through that process. And I find that like right now, although I am covering DSA and I'm doing my best at like trying to break into at least America, the long-term kind of goal here is I want to like have at least that 16-month internship in America. and then be able to either go back or explore the area and kind of continue to keep myself in the States. And I would ask you, like, for Kleiner Perkins,
Mhm.
I did the OA, I recorded the video, and I did like the hacker rank for it. And like as of now, I don't know like graphs, I don't know binary trees, I know like linked lists and below.
Mhm.
And would you say that, like, at least in my position, should I just stick with the kind of main companies I got, that I'm in talks with right now, or continue to kind of like explore those larger companies like Shopify or like Simple, for example, even though I don't necessarily feel like I'm in a position to take on the OAs for them?
Let me think. Your resume is so good that I would shoot it. I First off, I wouldn't suggest a 16-month internship, and I'm pretty sure I know some other people in the chat would also agree, because I went to school with them. Drop in the chat why you should or shouldn't take a 16-month internship. I did one myself, and I feel like you should do. Paul definitely agrees. I would probably do 4. Yeah, plus 1. Diversify. I would, if I were you, instead of taking one 16-month internship, take 4 4-month internships. Exactly. Everyone's saying definitely wouldn't recommend. Try as many. Murtizi, what's up? Yeah, everyone's saying he did a 16-month. I did a 16-month, and I was gonna interrupt you earlier, but don't make that mistake. Committing that long to one company is for a student is not a good idea. I would say just keep shooting your shot. Are you trying to land interviews, or try to get a 4-month internship every single summer?
I see the like the leverage point of that, and I see the diversification for sure. But I think at least where I'm at technically right now, what I know and what's like feasible for me, I'm not sure I can put myself in a position where there would be a company that would be willing to take me on for 4 months in the States. And the States is huge for me right now. So that's why like that 16-month co-op in the States is like super appealing for me, because even though I understand that there's not a whole bunch of diversification that can go on there, it's a startup, and like they've kind of talked to me about what
I
they're
see.
looking to do with it. And I find that if there's any place that I'm going to grow and like work with amazing engineers at,
Yeah.
it's going to be at a startup in the States.
So
So
it's a New York startup. It's
Yeah.
is it funded?
yeah, like I think they told me, and I know this may not sound the best, but like they are, I believe, Series A, or
Wow.
close to Series B where they're at right now.
No, I think it's a really good opportunity. I'm just surprised that they want you to come on for 16 months. Are they even able to do that? I would just make sure, what visa are you looking to get that's gonna,
They said that they would probably give me like a TN.
TN visa. See, like, you need a degree to get a TN visa.
Gotcha.
So it's already sounds, I think they don't know much about, or he says, I don't think so. Wait, 16. Nico Hard, do you need a TN visa? Or wait.
Like,
Oh, you need a degree for a TN visa. I'm pretty sure about that. Let me see.
I told them that, like, I believe a J1 is the easiest. Granted, the person I was talking to at the time was more like the technical person, and he was kind of like, I was conducting the behavioral with that startup, and they said TN would be the easiest thing. I didn't complain because from what I know, TN is harder to get.
Proof of, yeah. I remember when I was applying for my TN, they needed my degree really bad. But maybe it works. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay, maybe, yeah. I'm just surprised they wanted you to work that long for 16 months. But if it's at a Series A startup, they're funded. Do you know who their investors are? Are they like well-known investors?
I don't know their investors right now. I can drop like some numbers because I don't think they're really like, I'm not gonna share the name of the company, but I don't think they really care that much.
Yeah.
So like off the call that I got off the guy within the past week, he told me that they recently had some more investments recently, which was like he sold me like between half a mil to a mil, and they said they had like a right now they're at like a retreat in like Morocco. So like I don't think and it's like a 7 dev startup.
Off a half a
Like,
mil, you said they raised 500K to $1 million, and they're in Morocco
Yeah.
with it. That is crazy. Let's see. Let me think about it. Yeah, because that's not Series A companies. If they raise Series A, that's I wonder. Usually they'll raise a lot more money for that. Then I would say half a mil. I would be nervous if someone told me that their company only raised half a million to a million. Because yeah, what LeetCode Hard is saying, mostly that's pre-seed. Pre-seed you'll raise even half a million is very low investment for a pre-seed company. Usually it's pre-seed is 1 to 5 million, but when you start getting to Series A, it's 10 million plus when it comes to investment. So the only reason why I'm mentioning that is I would be worried if they'll be able to pay me. If I have 7 engineers and I'm paying each 100K, I wouldn't even be able to sustain that company for a year if I only raised 500K to $1 million. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm worried about as well. I'm not gonna lie, because if I said that I'd be willing to go like to the States to work for them, but like I calculated how much, I know rent is in the States is expensive.
It is.
Especially in New York.
Yeah.
Especially like living.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have to see what they want to compensate me for, and I really hope that it's reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that like if they were pre-seed or still like seed, would you suggest to go with this opportunity if things go through all right?
Yeah, I really am a big fan of working early stage startup. The company I joined when I first graduated was early Series B, so I never joined a seed or Series A company yet. But there's a lot of risk involved when you join such an early startup, but that risk is better to take on when you're younger, I would say, or obviously not when you have a family and stuff like that. Or if I think when you're younger, the different pretend you just join a startup straight out of graduation, the opportunity cost for how much money you can make is very similar to, or basically you'll be making almost the same as somebody who's working at one of the bigger companies. So you don't have to worry about that much. But when you're 6 or 7 years of experience, a senior software engineer at a fan company is going to make way more than most of the startups. So you'd probably want to take that startup less. So if you want to work at a startup, probably try to do it when you're younger, because I mean, yeah, when you're a senior software engineer, you join a startup, you're a lot of times you're gonna be paid way less. So I think it's a good opportunity. I would just make sure that they're setting you up for success there, which is okay. They know what visas they're gonna give you. They're gonna give you enough money so that you could actually live there, and they're not just not gonna fire you within the next few weeks because they run out of money. So that's things I would worry about and look for as well. That's the one risk, but yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. But also diversify where you're applying for. Also apply for some of the big tech companies like the fan companies. I'm sure they'll like your resume, and I don't think they'll ask you that hard of a lead code question. They'll probably ask you medium questions, but lower end of the medium questions.
One last kind of note would be, and this is, I guess, somewhat of like a relatively opinionated question too, but what would you kind of think would be like a rough figure for what I should be expecting to hear from them compensation wise?
Compensation wise, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really important because I already did my technical take home for them, and then the next kind of like the series that's going to follow a series of events would be like I'm going to get on call with sort of the first kind of manager I talked to, and then one of their tech leads, and we're just going to run through all the code that I wrote, and they're going to ask me a bunch of questions and possibly some DSA. And after that, I'll have another kind of follow up, and then that'll be more so talking about kind of like next step visas and compensation. And I'm just wondering, like, for that next one, because this would be like one of my first kind of I don't want to say real like software engineering positions because I already have my current one, but one of the more substantial ones, especially being in the States. Like, what should I expect?
What should you expect? Yeah. And this is a 16-month intern. Let's just assume, to just do the math easier, that you're going to stay there for a year. Because if you have to stay there for less than a year, that adds complications because a lot of people won't want to. You have to usually pay a premium if your rent is not going to be 12 months, right?
Yeah.
So let's just assume you're going to be doing a 12-month lease. Rent prices in New York are wild, so you're probably gonna have to find a roommate. So let's say you budget around $1,500 a month, right? Let's say, yeah, I can review. I might have to clock after this. I can review everyone's resume on the next one, but essentially, pretend your place to stay is $1,500 a month. If the company is gonna pay you $125,000 a year after taxes and everything, actually, or that's already a lot of money. 125 for an intern. Yo, chat, how much people are getting paid for internships these days? I know new grads are around 100 to 125. 100 to 125 base salary for new grads, and obviously you get the stock compensation. But one thing that I would say is the company going to help you finding a place and also sponsoring it?
Good question.
Because
honestly,
and let me prefix or say this, like all the interns that I know that move to the Bay Area just for an internship, they usually get a stipend for their houses. So if you work at Snowflake, they'll pay you like half of whatever rent you choose. Most places will subsidize your housing. So the one thing about startup is you might not know if they'll subsidize your housing, and that might be, you might not be able to live there if they don't subsidize your housing.
gotcha.
So you should ask them, are they going to help you relocate? Are they going to help you subsidize your housing? If that's none of that case, then you'll probably need to make over $100,000 to sustain yourself in New York.
For that year.
Yeah, I would say 125 is comfortable. Let's see. I don't think. Okay, Lico's saying 100 is not. Is you don't need that much. Lico Hard, how much are you thinking? Because I know he also has experience moving around these places. If you're willing to spend all your earning, it's a lot lower. If you want.
I live like such a broke
Lee Code
lifestyle.
Hard, how much do people pay interns for these startups or big companies? Damn, already forgot. I feel like someone told me it'd be like 6, 7. What Advid's saying, 7,000, 8,000 a month. That's already way too much. That's already similar to a new grad salary. Oh, Amazon paid that? Okay. So I would say Lead Code cracks the 30 an hour? No, I doubt that. Not for New York and Bay Area. I would say you're probably gonna get 30 to 40, okay. So you would expect $30 to $40 an hour. 30, okay, let's see, 30 to 40. 30, let's go on the high side, $40. Let's do some quick math. Yearly salary. So you make that's 83 grand. And then let's just do basic tax calculator. Right? We'll say that you live in New York City.
Yeah, I think the company is based like around, like it's Manhattan, Broadway is like headquarters.
So you're gonna take home about $59,000 that year. And these are the same websites and math that I always run on myself, especially when I moved here, when I was trying to figure out how to do. I was using the exact same websites. So let's say you're gonna pay $1,500 in rent, and you times that by 12 months. So we take 59K. Okay, let's say right there you're at 40K left. How much do people pay for housing, or how much I think you're good with $40 an hour, but that's on the high end. Say they do $30 an hour, 62. Oh, that makes a big difference. On 62, I doubt you'll be able to live like really comfortable there. 62.
I've heard that rent is like between 2 to 3K.
Yeah.
Granted, the people that I asked were like Bloomberg interns this summer.
Yeah, they're probably staying at somewhere fancy. But 47K, pretend, okay, let's say you're paying $2,000. That's about 24K. That's already half your thing. But at the end of the day, all you need to do is stay afloat. It's not like you're there to get rich after your internship. You're there to experience stuff. So if I did that experience and I came out with $0, but I got the experience to work at a Series A startup, I think that's already an overall win. I don't know.
Would you do it if it was pre-seed or seed?
Yeah, I would do it. But I was trying to get into pre-seed, seed, and Series A companies when I was graduating too. But a lot of them didn't want to sponsor a visa. A lot of them said, "Oh, we don't do." A lot. If you start looking at a lot of them, they say that they don't sponsor visas. But I'm happy you found one that can sponsor a visa.
Yeah, I've been like the reason like I like you guys have been saying kind of popping here and there with like this kind of doesn't seem like a real offer, and honestly like I'm not that I want to like question them or the people. I got kind of this position from like not really from knowing anyone, but from like just kind of being extroverted at school, which has helped me kind of along the way, even though I'm not a really extroverted person.
Yeah.
And I found that like after talking to these people who have previously interned there, they seem reliable and trustable. So like it'll be kind of like a shock to me if this goes through, because I know I've been like working as hard as I can to like achieve something like this or SF similar. But yeah, I appreciate you guys' lookout for me.
No, this is good, and you're only in your second year. In my second year, I only started thinking about Silicon Valley or SF or whatever when I was about like a year before I was about to graduate, or maybe a year and a half. So the fact that you're already kind of know where you want to go, just keep working towards it. Definitely, if you want to break into Silicon Valley and work at a startup, they're gonna ask you lead code questions. So touch up on that. It's nice that you're already working on it, but just keep expanding into the other data structures like trees and graphs, and just getting better and being able to do mediums and stuff. But I think you're on a good path. I wouldn't take a 16-month internship, but if it's but we can talk about it more if you could send me details away from the live stream, that I can help probably screen it for you. But I think overall, yeah, you should try to get as many jobs as you can, or try to do as many internships as you can. And it's still January, so shoot your shot at a bunch of companies, because a bunch of companies are just starting to, like, there's still a lot of openings there, and you could probably land one of them because you have a really good resume. I think just don't sell yourself too short. You got to take a chance, because you already did all the work to build this great resume. Don't just take the first thing that comes to you. And this is probably not the first thing that comes to you. I'm sure there's other things that you could have taken as well. But I feel like keep applying as well. Leave the door open, because it's still early in the recruiting season. And I'm sure with your resume and background and all of the things you already know, you can land a really good job if you just keep going.
Will do, hopefully, and I'll definitely follow up with you.
Yeah.
And
sounds good. All right. Message me.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in. I'll catch you. Keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, we got one more resume. That was already the last one. Okay, we're gonna get. I like these resume reviews too. I'm gonna get a recruiter on here at some point. Probably on the next one. I need to get a recruiter live on the voice chat as well. But there's another one. Leak code cracked. Who's the other one? Who wants to stay for one more resume? I got work in the morning. This is my first time in your channel. I heard they asked system design at Walmart internships. Bro, it's crazy. Johnny, what's good? So that you want me to do full stack project? Okay, we're gonna. Yeah, I'll drop a video on some full stack projects Dude, I'm gonna stream every single day. I'm gonna stream tomorrow, the day after, or today's Friday, or tomorrow's Friday. I'm gonna stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I'm gonna drop a post, a community post. Okay, Johnny, perfect. I'll drop a community post on. Yo, I'm gonna get Leak Code Hard to do a live interview question with us too at some point. And then Leak Code Cracked. Let's see who's better. Is Leak Code Hard better than Leak Code Cracked? Why do we have two Leak Code? Why do we have Leak Code Cracked and Leak Code Hard on here? That's hilarious. But essentially, yeah, we're gonna be streaming. I'm gonna drop a community post and just let's comment below what you want to see in the streams, and we're gonna. Yo, people are saying Leak Code Cracked is better, but that was some really good resumes. We jumped on a call with a first year student who was cracked. Leak Code. Oh, someone's saying Leak Code Hard. All right, we're gonna. Yo, Leak Code Hard and Leak Code Cracked. Are y'all down to do a face off on one of the streams? Yes. Sai. Yo, Leak Code Hard is. Leak Code Cracked is talking trash. He said Leak Code Hard is washed. Leak Code Cracked. How many Leak Code questions have you done? This is hilarious. I actually want to see this face off. We're actually going to get both of y'all on there. Bruh. So, Leak Code Crack. That's crazy. Leak Code Hard. How many questions have you done? This is a crazy challenge. Okay, we got to get... That resume is better. We got to get y'all... We got to get y'all on the stream. Leak Code Crack, are you on the Discord? This is going to be a really good stream. We're going to do a stream called Leak Code Hard versus Leak Code Cracked. Get on that Discord. Where's Leak Code Cracked? Which resume? Okay, Leak Code Cracked, I'm going to look at your resume real quick. And I'm going to set up a face-off with you and Leak Code Hard sometime this weekend. Where is it? Let me find it. Resume review. Which one are you? Are you the latest ones? Startups aren't all that exciting. Get paid. I've seen startups pay a ton of money, but I see what you mean. Like, it all depends. 1003. 10-0. Okay, we're gonna look at Leak Code Crack's resume. Okay, Leak Code Cracked. Did you really do 1,200 Leak Code questions? Okay, let's take a look at this real quick. That's a good resume. It's pretty much formatted like mine. 3.9 GPA. Languages and technologies. Okay, wait. Leak Code Cracked. Hop on the lounge. And Leak Code Hard, hop on the lounge too. I'm trying to get both of them. Hop on the lounge. I'm gonna tell Leak Code Hard to hop on the lounge. Bruh. Okay. Let's look at this. Okay. Leak Code Crack, Leak Code Hard. We're gonna get a face-off stream. It's gonna be probably on Saturday. I'm excited for this. Okay, we'll look at everyone's resumes a different day. Thanks everyone for tuning in the stream. That was a really good stream. We covered a lot of ground. System design. What else? Resume reviews, and we're gonna run this again on the weekend. I gotta sleep for work, but everyone, thanks for joining in. That was a crazy stream. W's in the chat. Alright, peace. Have a good night, and I'll see you on the long weekend. Gervonta in the building. Murtaza. That was crazy. W's in the chat. Alright. I'll see y'all.